global temperatures rose by 50 degrees overnight. While everyone else was fighting to the death over a single bottle of water, I returned from rebirth and awakened the negative emotion harvesting system, allowing me to feast like a king and live surrounded by beautiful women in the apocalypse. In my previous life, a terrifying natural disaster transformed the ecology of the blue planet. Intense solar radiation drove the global average temperature to 50 degrees Celsius, trapping humanity in a 30-day heat apocalypse. The earth dried out, vegetation withered, living creatures mutated, and social order collapsed completely. Supplies became more precious than money. Former tycoons and celebrities would humble themselves for a single sausage or a cup of water, while those without provisions could do nothing but wait to die in the streets. On the news, an extraordinarily powerful solar flare disrupted Earth's ionosphere. Extreme temperatures continued to climb worldwide. The blazing sun scorched the land, and countless living creatures collapsed beneath its merciless rays. The scene shifted back to March 2, 2038. On the pedestrian street in Los Angeles, I entered an underground lending house operated by the Ocean Gang. Kid, do you understand what it means to borrow $5 million from me? The interest I charge is rather high, I answered in a low voice. I know, Brother Lou. As long as you are willing to lend me the money, I do not care how high the interest is. Fine, 40% interest. I will lend you $5 million, and you will repay $7 million in 6 months. First, sign an IOU for $7 million, and you must also provide collateral of equal value. I hurriedly handed him the property deed. Brother Lou, this is the deed to my family home. Please take a look. He flipped through several pages. This house is rather old. At today's prices, it is worth $3 or $4 million at most. Brother Lou already regarded me as easy prey walking willingly into his trap, but he feigned reluctance. Brother Chinchao, this house is not enough to secure a 5 million yuan loan. I am afraid we may not be able to do business. I immediately begged him again, and Brother Lou finally relented. 3.5 million. Any more than that, and I would lose money. He had decided I was a hopeless gambling addict, so I played along and nodded. Fine, thank you, Brother Lou. I will repay you very soon. Brother Lou raised the stakes again. In that case, after 3.5 million yuan arrived in my account, if you do not have the money, the house becomes mine. If that is acceptable, sign the IOU, and the funds will be released within 3 days. I raised my head. No problem, but I have one condition. 10 minutes later, the lending house staff saw me out with broad smiles. Thank you for your business. Take care, Brother Chinchao. By accepting a higher interest rate, I secured immediate payment, and 3.5 million yuan appeared in my account at once. Inside the lending house, a subordinate asked anxiously, Boss, his house is worth more than 4 million, yet we forced the loan down to 3.5 million and he still agreed so readily. Could this be a trick? Brother Lou gave a dismissive laugh. I have seen plenty of gambling addicts. They would sell their wives and children for money. So what is one house? Arrange something with a casino. When the time comes, not only will the house belong to us, but do not let the man himself get away either. Sell whatever can be sold. The subordinate nodded at once. Understood. As I walked out of the lending house, I could not help marveling that there were still so many kind-hearted people in the world. One offered to pay higher interest, and they handed me the money on the spot. They thought they could fleece me, unaware that I had already borrowed from every loan shark in Los Angeles within a single day. Once the money reached my hands, they could forget about ever getting it back. Now that I had been reborn, I still had a month before the disaster, more than enough time to lay my plans in advance. As I passed an upscale ice cream shop, I suddenly remembered the ice cream assassin products I had never been willing to buy in my previous life, even though I had bought them several times for that bitch Lu Wanqing. The thought made my heart ache even more. Letting her eat ice cream this expensive was an even greater waste than feeding it to a dog. I pushed the door open and walked straight inside. Hello, please give me 10 of every kind of ice cream you have. Thank you. Several women nearby immediately began whispering. Is he serious? 10 of every kind. Can he afford that? He looks so handsome placing that order. The clerk looked at me hesitantly. Sir, are you serious? No matter how she looked at me, I did not seem wealthy. A woman beside her sneered even more openly. He looks dirt poor. If he can pay for all that, I will kneel and kowtow to him in front of everyone. I turned toward her. Miss, do you mean that? She folded her arms and mocked me. What? Do you actually expect me to kowtow to you? Who do you think you are, coming in here to put on an act? I replied calmly. I gave you a way out, but you refused to take it and insist on jumping off the cliff instead. Do you? You are going to make that kowtow. Even Jesus could not stop it. Those are my words. Then I told the clerk, package every ice cream separately. I will take all of them. When the clerk saw that my account held more than 20 million yuan, her expression changed instantly. I need to consult the manager. Please wait a moment. The manager, Fei Chi, arrived quickly. Hello, I am the manager of this store. Mr. Chinchao, what can I do for you? I gestured at the entire shop. Calculate the total price of every ice cream in the store. You will not need to open for business today. As the manager calculated, he wondered what kind of major player I was, since I was about to buy out an entire month's worth of his sales in one transaction. A moment later, he reported, Young Master Chinchao, the products on display today are worth 70,000 yuan. Including the inventory, the total value is approximately 1 million. That did not seem expensive to me, so I decided to clear out the entire stock. After the apocalypse, I could hide at home and eat ice cream whenever I guy pleased. I said, I will transfer a deposit of 300,000 first. Later, deliver every ice cream in your inventory to this address. Fei Qi grinned from ear to ear. Certainly, brother Chen Xiao, you can leave everything to me. I turned toward everyone in the shop. Ladies, every ice cream in this store is on me today. Choose whatever you want. I, Chen Xiao, am paying for all of it. The women cheered immediately. Really? That is wonderful. How can this handsome guy be so generous? The more I look at him, the more handsome he seems. I pointed at the woman who had mocked me earlier. Naturally, that offer excludes you. I am still waiting for your kowtow. She stammered, unable to produce a response, and I deliberately imitated her aggrieved manner. If you knew this would happen, why did you pretend to be something you were not? After leaving the ice cream shop, I sat on a park bench and tasted one. It truly deserves the name assassin. Both the flavor and texture are first rate, and with I raised a hand and opened my black storage space. Any object placed inside would remain permanently unchanged. That meant I could enjoy fresh ice cream whenever I wished. During the apocalypse, even celebrities and young models would come to my door voluntarily for supplies. What surprised me even more was that the spatial ability I had awakened only after the apocalypse in my previous life had somehow been reborn along with me. I did not know why, but it would become my greatest trump card. A safe house, cold storage, weapons, and energy reserves. I could not omit a single one. While I was considering my plans, my phone rang. The caller was none other than Lu Wanqing. Merely seeing that name made me feel contaminated by bad luck. After my parents died in my previous life, she appeared at my side like a savior, yet I had not realized that the only thing she wanted was the inheritance they had left behind. Lu Wanqing once declared with complete self-righteousness, my mother said that if you want to marry me, you must buy a large apartment in the city center outright and put it in my name, and you must also pay a bride price of 880,000 yuan. She reached out for money again and again like a bottomless pit. In the end, she even wanted to sell my ancestral home. It is all for our little family. Why not sell your family house? It is old anyway. After the apocalypse arrived, I risked everything to protect her, but she offered me to a mysterious young master. Young master, he is the person I told you about. Have you not been searching for a special material? He definitely meets your requirements. Everything was drained from me, and in the end, not even an intact corpse remained. Remembering how I had died miserably in the wilderness in my previous life, my eyes filled with hatred. Lu Wanqing, since you have delivered yourself to me, we will settle this debt properly. I answered the phone, keeping my voice as gentle as ever. Baby, why are you calling me? Lu Wanqing complained in a coquettish voice. I went out with some friends and accidentally lost a gold necklace I absolutely adored. I am heartbroken. I laughed. What else can I do but buy my precious darling a new one? No, how could one possibly be enough? I will buy you 10, so you can wear a different one whenever you like. She asked in delight. Really? Since when did you become so generous? I invented an explanation casually. I have been lucky lately. I invested in some cryptocurrency and made a small profit. Naturally, any money I earned should be spent on my darling. She immediately became wary. Cryptocurrency? You have not fallen for some scam, have you? That stuff is dangerous. I used the opening to continue. We will know whether it is a scam when we see whether I profit in the next round. Playing for small amounts is pointless, so this time I plan to borrow some capital and make a major wager. The loan requires a witness, though. Help me, baby. Once it is done, I will give you 5% of the amount borrowed as compensation for your trouble. At that moment, Lu Wanqing was hiding in a hotel bathroom while another man urged her to hurry from outside the door. She calculated that spending one night with that old man earned her only 5,000 yuan, whereas signing one document for me would earn her 50,000. She would merely be a witness, so there was no risk at all. With that reasoning, she agreed. After ending the call, I stared coldly at the screen. Lu Wanqing, I will be waiting for you. Next came the construction of my fortress. I arrived at my apartment. Within 1 month, I will turn this place into an impregnable stronghold. The windows would be replaced with bullet-resistant composite glass and fitted with concealed security mesh. The walls would be reinforced into 3-meter-thick bulletproof exterior barriers capable of withstanding seismic intensity above level 8. The roof would be covered in solar panels and equipped with an independent power generation system, an air purification and filtration system, a self-sustaining ecological system, 72-hour oxygen support, and a water recycling system. And the blast-resistant door would combine biometric identification with a mechanical lock for dual verification. In short, within 1 month it had to be transformed into an impact-resistant safe house with a full life support system. The designer treated me as though I suffered from apocalyptic delusions, so I asked him directly, what is the problem? You cannot do it? Does your resume not say that you have designed shelters for the wealthiest elites? He was still worried about the budget, so I placed a 1 million yuan deposit on the table. You may name the final price. The designer's eyes lit up. I get to name the final price. He thought he had encountered a wealthy fool and immediately promised aloud, no problem, Mr. Chen Xiao, leave it to me. I guarantee the place will be impregnable. I reminded him I care greatly about materials and construction quality. Make certain it passes final inspection. He thumped his chest and agreed while secretly planning to fleece me mercilessly. I, however, only wanted him to build as extravagantly as possible, because once the apocalypse arrived, he would never be able to find me to collect the balance. With the fortress fortress arranged. The next concern was supplies. Medicine, food, and daily necessities were easy enough to obtain. The truly difficult items were firearms. In an apocalypse, the greatest danger is never the natural disaster itself, but the human heart after order has disappeared. Bladed weapons could be bought at any hardware store, but lethal firearms were far harder to acquire. I contacted a seller online, and he sent only one reply: I will send you the address privately. 8 o'clock tonight. Missed the time, and the deal is off. That evening, I arrived in a remote part of the old city when the sound of a pursuit suddenly came from the distance. Several men chased a girl while shouting abuse. Stop, you filthy bitch. You dare cheat in a game on my turf? Are you tired of living? The girl rushed to my side and clutched the hem of my clothes. Please, save me. When I saw her face clearly, I was startled. Liu, what is she doing in a place like this? She had been the brilliant campus goddess of my middle school years, a radiant figure admired from afar by countless boys. One of the pursuing men seized her by the hair. Hand over the money, or you are not leaving. Another man gave a lecherous laugh. If she cannot pay, she can use her body to settle the debt. I stepped forward. Let her go. The man shoved Liu aside and charged at me with a raised fist. Where did this reckless idiot come from? Trying to play the hero in front of me? I will cripple you first. I shifted sideways, caught his wrist, and slammed him directly to the ground. He clutched his hand and screamed. My hand. At that moment, the system announced that fear and excruciating pain had been detected, and the negative emotion harvesting system formally activated. My heart jolted. Nothing like this had ever appeared in my previous life. Another man took Liu hostage. Chinchao, do not move, or I will kill her. I kicked a brick into the air and sent it crashing directly into the captor, knocking him down. The remaining two men lunged at me together. I caught one by the leg, swung him into his companion, and then kicked both of them to the ground. I looked at the thugs sprawled miserably across the ground and said only one word: leave. The system continuously harvested fear, panic, excruciating pain, and despair. My negative emotion total exceeded 10 points for the first time, unlocking permission to expand my storage space, while the system urged me to continue harvesting and grow ever stronger. I could not help smiling. Harvesting negative emotions? Interesting. Liu sat on the ground and said softly, Chinchao, I never expected to meet you here. Thank you. I asked her, are you hurt? Then I took off my coat and handed it to her. Put this around yourself. She accepted it. Thank you. I truly appreciate it, but I still have something to do, so I need to leave. I nodded. Be careful. A man in a floral shirt standing nearby approached of his own accord. Brother, that was quite a heroic rescue. My name is Mutsan. What is yours? I understood at once. You are Mutsan? Perfect. I am the person who arranged to meet you. Mutsan burst out laughing. You are the buyer? What a coincidence. It must be fate. He suddenly issued the countersign. The heavenly king subdues the earthly tiger. Without changing my expression, I replied, you are an idiot. Mutsan froze on the spot, and the system harvested his bewilderment and embarrassment as well. Only then did I add, the pagoda suppresses the river demon. Mutsan gritted his teeth. Brother, that was quite a joke. You win. Follow me. He took me to his residence and produced a handgun. Russian hardware. Rugged and reliable, but ammunition is limited, so use it sparingly. As I inspected the weapon, Mutsan remarked, your fighting skills are good, and you are an interesting man. I will give you a friendly price and consider this the beginning of a friendship. I nodded. Not bad. Thank you. Seeing how competently I handled the gun, he confirmed that I knew what I was doing and prepared to close the deal. Then I asked, does it include a suppressor? Is there a warranty card? Can you throw in another box of ammunition? Mutsan's expression darkened instantly. I am already giving you a friendship price. People on the black market would fight over this at twice the cost, and you still want a warranty and free extras? Do you think you are buying a household appliance? You might as well rob me. The system immediately harvested his shock, financial anguish, and speechless exasperation. I laughed. If you do not have them, forget it. I was only asking. I will transfer the price you quoted. I now had a gun, and both my supplies and fortress were in place. That evening, Lu Wanqing arrived at the hotel in a red dress and began complaining the moment she saw me. Why did you take so long? My legs are aching from standing here. This thing you mentioned truly carries no risk, does it? I took her hand. Baby, it is merely a formality. I care about you too much even to think of harming you. How could I possibly trick you? In her mind, I was still a spineless lapdog. She had no idea what she was about to sign. A member of the Ocean Gang brought out the documents. Miss Lu Wanqing is certainly decisive, and your handwriting is beautiful as well. Lu Wanqing believed she was merely serving as a guarantor and witness, so she signed her name without hesitation. In reality, the entire debt had been transferred to her. The lending house staff laughed silently. When she failed to repay, they would make her settle the debt with her body. I watched her name appear on the page and sneered inwardly. Sign it. Sign your own contract of bondage. Your debt will cover the outstanding balance on my safe house perfectly. This went unexpectedly smoothly. Thank you, Lu Wanqing. I then returned to the fully renovated apartment, where the construction supervisor came forward to greet me. Boss Chinchao, you can rest completely assured. Every material inside has been reinforced to the highest military standard. It is heat insulated, soundproof, blast resistant, and drill resistant. It could withstand several nuclear strikes. I inspected the work. The quality is good. Thank you. The supervisor smiled. Call me again whenever you have another job. I sat inside inside my brand new safe house while the television reported intense activity from a gigantic sunspot. The world was about to experience prolonged extreme heat. Temperatures in many regions would exceed all historical records, and the authorities urged citizens to take precautions in advance. I loaded a magazine into the handgun and said quietly, "It has finally come." Outside the window, an enormous red sun swallowed the horizon, and the apocalypse officially began. Early the next morning, the news again reported severe disturbances in the ionosphere. The daytime high was expected to reach 45 degrees Celsius, and citizens were advised not to go outdoors at midday unless absolutely necessary. I stood at the window and looked over the city. The temperature has begun to rise, but this is only the beginning. A woman downstairs had barely finished complaining about the heat before she was drenched in sweat and could hardly remain standing. A street vendor seized the opportunity to raise his prices. "Neighbors, this weather is deadly. I heard the temperature will keep rising next week. Supplies are scarce, and both water and electricity will be rationed. If you do not stock up now, soon you will not even have bottled water to drink. This is the final shipment." Inside, however, he was ecstatic. This heat wave was delivering money directly to his door, and he would have felt he had wronged himself if he failed to profiteer from it. A woman asked, "Boss, these melons are very expensive. Can you lower the price?" The vendor immediately leaned toward her. "Beautiful lady, would you like me to cut one open so you can taste it? Buy two and I will give you a 20% discount, plus a free packet of tissues. If it gets too hot tonight, you can also come here and enjoy the air conditioning." The woman hurriedly refused. "No, thank you, we will buy only one." He continued pestering her. "Buy more and store them. In heat like this, who knows whether there will be any left to sell tomorrow." An elderly person nearby asked, "Boss, can you make the water cheaper too?" His expression changed at once. "This is a small business. No bargaining." I recognized the profiteer immediately as Lee Dafu. I stepped out from behind the crowd, picked up a bag of potato chips from the shelf, and said, "Boss Lee, are these chips made of gold, or can they prevent heat stroke? Why are they so expensive?" The price tag showed that an ordinary bag of potato chips cost an astonishing 50 yuan. Lee Dafu slapped my hand away. "Get out of the way. If you cannot afford them, do not touch them." The system reported 3 points of disgust and 6 points of irritation. I immediately discovered a new way to play. "Boss Lee, can you sleep at night with so many treasures stockpiled here? Be careful that no one steals them." He pointed at me and cursed. "Who are you trying to jinx? Do you believe I will beat you? Has the heat driven you insane?" I smiled and advised him, "Calm down. Have you recently been suffering from frequent insomnia and vivid dreams, weakness in your lower back and knees, night sweats, and fatigue?" Lee Dafu paused. "I actually have." "Could the geomantic energy of my warehouse be bad?" He hurriedly pressed me. "Go on, tell me." I pretended to examine him. "The space between your brows is dark, and your eyes are unfocused. These are classic signs of severe physical deficiency." Lee Dafu exploded in fury. "You are deficient. Your entire family is deficient. Get lost." While eating a piece of candy, I reminded him, "Boss Lee, take care of your health. Excessive anger harms the body, and with your condition in particular, I fear it may shorten your life." He became so angry that he chased me, and the system harvested 20 points of rage at once. After leaving the supermarket, I remembered that the system had said I could expand my storage space. The emotions Lee Dafu contributed are exactly what I need. After I spent 20 negative emotion points, my storage space expanded by 200 cubic meters. I stared into the night and remembered the humiliation of my previous life. Last time, I swallowed every grievance and let others manipulate me. In this life, I will recover everything they owe me, principal and interest included. Late that night, I infiltrated the supermarket and raised a hand, drawing the entire warehouse and every item on the shelves into my storage space. The next day, Lee Dafu pushed open the shop door and saw nothing but empty shelves. His eyes widened. "Where's my stock? Who did this? Who stole my goods? Get out here." Meanwhile, I sat at home drinking a beverage and enjoyed his expression through the surveillance feed. The system harvested 66 negative emotion points in a single burst. Lee Dafu went berserk inside the empty store, knocked miscellaneous objects over, then sat on the floor with his head in his hands and collapsed emotionally. The crowd outside began discussing the scene. Everything vanished in one night. Could he have staged this himself so he could raise prices? The entire supermarket is empty. What are we supposed to do now? I heard someone saw a dark shadow float inside last night. Could the place be haunted? Lee Dafu's face turned pale when he heard them. Haunted? That cannot be true, can it? The system continuously harvested his anger, fear, and alarmed suspicion. I laughed inwardly. Not bad. Lee Dafu is producing emotions very consistently. To stimulate him further, I took out a bag of chips collected from his store and ate them in front of everyone. Delicious. Lee Dafu recognized the packaging at a glance. "That bag of chips is from my stock." I deliberately repeated what I had said the previous day. "Boss Lee, are these chips made of gold, or can they prevent heat stroke? Why are they so expensive?" He lunged forward and grabbed at the package. "Where did you get those chips? You stole my goods and still dare behave so arrogantly." I blocked his hand. "Boss Lee, resorting to violence would spoil the matter. Do you have evidence? You are responsible for accusations made without proof. Still, your supermarket is remarkably clean now. Not even a single chip remains. Shall I give you this half bag?" Lee Dafu clutched me tightly. "You cursed me yesterday, and now that my stock is gone, you are standing standing here eating it. If you did not steal it, who did? He was even calculating that, whether or not I had stolen anything, he should extract something from me to compensate for his losses. The system harvested another 18 points of rage. I raised my voice. Other people are not allowed to own chips sold in supermarkets? Everyone, judge this fairly. Boss Lee lost his own stock and now wants to blame me? The people around us voiced their agreement. He is right. Other people can own the same potato chips. He complained about the price yesterday, and today the supermarket is empty. That is quite a coincidence. How did this young man suddenly become so assertive? I looked at Lee Dafu. If you do not believe me, you may search my home. If you find anything from your store, I will compensate you tenfold. If you find nothing, the backup generator behind your shop becomes mine. Lee Dafu's interest was immediately aroused, and he agreed aloud. Fine, we will search it. Let us see how long you can keep pretending. Privately, he calculated that finding the goods would be ideal, but even if he found nothing, he had no intention of surrendering the generator. Everyone followed us to my apartment. When they saw the luxurious renovation and the rooms filled with supplies, they exclaimed in astonishment, Chen Zhao's home is this luxurious? When did this kid become so rich? Lee Dafu searched every wardrobe, refrigerator, and safe. He even found gold, but not a single item from the supermarket. I folded my arms. Boss Lee, have you searched enough? Would you like to pry up the floorboards as well? He walked toward the exit in embarrassment. There is no need. I will ask elsewhere. The system reported 6 points of embarrassment. I immediately stopped him. Not so fast. Boss Lee, what about the generator you promised? Everyone heard our agreement. You are not planning to go back on your word, are you? Lee Dafu feigned ignorance. Generator? What generator? Young man, take one step back and the world opens wide before you. Why make this so unpleasant? I stared at him. Why did you not take a step back when you falsely accused me? The onlookers began criticizing him as well. This man does not keep his word. He has no integrity at all. He deserved to be robbed. Humiliated into anger, Lee Dafu snapped. You brat, are you refusing the respect I am offering you? He raised a hand to strike me. I caught his wrist and twisted it backward without hesitation. Lee Dafu dropped to his knees in pain. My hand. The system harvested 73 points of pain, and he immediately begged for mercy. I will move it. I will move it. I will move it right now. I released him. Please move quickly. Once the temperature rises further, no one will be able to go outdoors. Electricity will be rationed in a few days. Lee Dafu, what will you do without a generator? The system again harvested humiliation, pain, and fear. At that moment, Lu Wanqing called me. Chen Xiao, several people have been following me for the past 2 days. They look like debt collectors. Did you not say I was only signing one document? Why are they following me? She demanded angrily. Tell me the truth. Why are people from the ocean gang coming after me? Did you deceive me? I made my voice sound wounded. Baby, why do you never trust me? I have given you so much and offered you my entire heart. How could I deceive you? Hearing you say that makes me terribly sad. Inside, however, I sneered. Those lustful degenerates from the ocean gang were even more impatient than I had expected. Pretending to be concerned, I asked, do they already know where you live? What did they say to you? Lu Wanqing answered, they do not know my address yet. I took a side road and shook them off. What exactly is happening? I am warning you not to play tricks with me. I comforted her gently. Do not overthink it. Perhaps you mistook them for someone else. Then I sat inside the safe house and brought out grilled salmon and an ice-cold drink. Lu Wanqing stared wide-eyed through the video call. How do you still have those things? I raised my cola. Those are only the beginning. I have plenty of supplies. She immediately pressed me. You still have a great deal more? The extreme heat had already lasted for several days, and supplies were now available only to the wealthy. She began to suspect that I truly had become rich. I drank my ice-cold cola. In weather this hot, nothing tastes better than this. Then I speared another piece of salmon and put it into my mouth. Lu Wanqing stared at the screen, her mind filled with a single thought, salmon. I want it so badly. Seizing the moment, I asked, baby, do you still have enough food over there? Her voice softened immediately. Chen Xiao, I am truly frightened living alone. I keep feeling that those men are still nearby. Could you let me stay at your place for a few days? I can keep you company. I sneered inwardly. She had taken the bait so quickly. Lu Wanqing truly was cheap. However, I pretended to hesitate. It will become even hotter soon, and going outside will be difficult. Did you not always say that a woman should never give her address to other people and refuse to let me visit your home? She immediately began speaking coquettishly. That was in the past. The circumstances are different now. You are my boyfriend. If you do not protect me, who will? I will send you my address. I smiled. Be good and wait at home. Do not go anywhere. She lay on the bed feeling smug. While I could only think that a lapdog was indeed easy to deceive, offer it a small treat and it would wag its tail. In the past, she would not even let me enter the gates of her residential complex. Now, for the sake of a mouthful of food, she had voluntarily handed over her apartment number. I had barely put down my phone when someone knocked at the door. Chen Xiao, open the door. When I opened it, I found Auntie Wang standing there with a child. I asked, Auntie Wang, what do you need? She craned her neck to look inside. Your home is so cool. My air conditioner is broken, and the child cannot endure the heat. We are all neighbors and should help one another. Let us come inside for a while. I smiled and reminded her, when I was a child and my mother and I collected discarded water bottles downstairs, you pointed at our faces, called us paupers, and ordered the security guards to drive us away. Yet now you suddenly remember me? In my memory, she had shrieked at us. Get far away from here. You look dirt poor. Do not contaminate our residential complex. Now she replied angrily. That happened so many years ago. Why are you so vindictive? You have no human compassion at all. I nodded. Fine, I have no compassion, but my home has air conditioning. With that, I shut the door directly in her face. Auntie Wong pounded on the door and cursed from outside. Heartless bastard. No wonder your parents died young. You were never properly raised. The system continuously harvested anger from her. I turned, picked up my phone, and called the Ocean Gang. Lowering my voice, I said, I know Lu Wanqing's address. I have sent it to you. She lives alone and will be easy to find. After ending the call, I looked out the window. Lu Wanqing. The show is about to begin. Lu Wanqing changed her clothes and repeatedly admired herself in the mirror, imagining that she would soon move into my air-conditioned home. Only a carefree life like that is worthy of me. A knock sounded at the door. Believing it was me, she ran over with a smile. Coming. Why are you here so early? She was still congratulating herself for having trained me into a qualified lapdog when she opened the door and found members of the Ocean Gang blocking the entrance. Lu Wanqing's face turned deathly pale. Why is it you? How did you learn that I live here? Brother Zhang, who led the group, pushed the door open and entered. Miss Lu Wanqing, the money you owe the Ocean Gang is due today, is it not? She retreated in panic. Chen Xiao borrowed the money. He tricked me into signing. Go after him. Brother Zhang threw the IOU in front of her. Your signature is here in black and white. Whoever signed repays the debt. Stop wasting words. He waved a hand. Search the place. Find everything valuable. Several men immediately rummaged through drawers and cabinets and smashed the furniture. Lu Wanqing hurriedly grabbed her phone. Stop searching. I will call Chen Xiao. He will be here immediately. Go after him. Brother Zhang emptied her handbag and jewelry onto the table and said disdainfully, these worthless scraps are not even enough to cover the interest. He approached her slowly. My brothers came all this way in this murderous heat. We cannot have made the trip for nothing. Can we? Lu Wanqing bent forward and begged. Do not come any closer. Chen Xiao has the money. She hurriedly added. He also has a great deal of supplies. He will come to collect me soon. When he arrives, demand the money from him. She made the call, but the phone repeatedly announced that no one was answering. Lu Wanqing dialed again and again. Why is he not answering? Wait, he must be occupied and did not hear it. I will call again. Brother Zhang sneered. You truly are a foolish woman. When he deceived you into signing, he never intended to repay the money. Lu Wanqing froze. What? Brother Zhang seized her, and she struggled desperately. Let me go. Go after Chen Xiao. He is the one who has what you want. Several men dragged her into the bedroom, leaving only the sound of her repeated pleas for mercy. At the same time, I sat inside the safe house holding a wine glass, looked at the missed calls on my screen, and said coldly, Lu Wanqing, enjoy the warmth of the apocalypse. A long time later, Brother Zhang returned to his chair, while Lu Wanqing curled up beside the bed and wept. He gave her a mouthful of water. You said Chen Xiao has valuable things. What exactly does he have? Say it again. Lu Wanqing's voice trembled. Air conditioning, iced drinks, and a great deal of food. His home has everything. I truly have nothing left. Go after him. He is the person you should be looking for. Brother Zhang smiled. Now we have hooked a large fish. Let us go. After the bedroom door closed, Lu Wanqing hugged herself and cursed through clenched teeth. Chen Xiao, you deceived me. I hope you die horribly. Under cover of night, Auntie Wong voluntarily led the Ocean Gang to my building. It is this way. That little beast Chen Xiao lives here. His air conditioner runs 24 hours a day, and he has plenty to eat and drink, but he is unbelievably stingy. He would not share even one mouthful of water with us. The leader nodded in satisfaction. Old woman, you guided us well. Once we obtain the supplies, you will receive your share of the benefits. Auntie Wong immediately smiled ingratiatingly. Thank you, Brother Zhang. You are truly generous. No wonder you are such a successful boss. From now on, my home is your home. Stay whenever you please. She gloated inwardly, waiting to see disaster befall me. The group arrived below the building, and Brother Zhang looked up at the illuminated apartment. This kid has something worthwhile. One subordinate charged toward the entrance with a club. Brother Zhang, watch me kick his door apart. The instant his foot entered the defensive zone, electric current surged through his entire body. Brother Zhang was still cursing him. Useless fool, why are you convulsing? A man beside him reached out to pull him away, only to become locked to the current as well. Several of them collapsed at once and cried for help. A concealed loudspeaker slowly rose from the roof and suddenly played a jubilant celebratory song to mock them. The group became both shocked and furious, while the system continuously harvested shock, panic, and embarrassment. I reclined in a chair and watched the surveillance feed with a smile. Gentlemen, you are remarkably lucky. One step, and you landed directly on the defensive electric grid. Brother Zhang forced himself to shout, Chen Xiao, spare us the nonsense. Debts must be repaid. Return the money, and we will consider the matter settled. Auntie Wong joined in the clamor. Exactly. You have money for renovations, but none to repay your debt. What did your parents teach you? Holding an ice pop, I spoke slowly. Brother Zhang, my apartment has a market value of 4 million yuan, more than enough to cover the 3.5 million I borrowed from you. As for Lu Wanqing's debt, go to her. What does it have to do with me? Brother Zhang gritted his teeth. Supplies are the only thing that matters now. Everything else is meaningless. I reminded him, a wise man recognizes the circumstances. While I am still in a good mood, let us part without further trouble. If you continue provoking me, I will not remain this courteous. After speaking, I pressed the control button. The electric grid activated again, shocking everyone to the ground, while the system harvested 63 points of pain and 77 points of despair. Brother Zhang used his club to struggle upright and retreated with his men in humiliating disorder. Qinshaо, just wait. The Ocean Gang will not let you escape. The system harvested another 78 points of rage. Auntie Wang stood below the building, staring darkly at my window. By the following day, the outdoor temperature had risen to 52 degrees Celsius, and the streets were completely deserted. I sat inside the climate-controlled Safehouse eating fruit and watching the red extreme heat warning on television. I could not resist saying, "Excellent." The news continued to report that deaths from heatstroke had already occurred in many areas and urged citizens to avoid going outside whenever possible. Yet the true heat apocalypse had only just begun. Qinshao reclined on the sofa drinking an ice-cold beverage, while the homeowners group chat had erupted into complete chaos. Someone cursed him by name. "Qinshao, are you even human? You have food, water, and air conditioning. Are you simply going to watch elderly people and children die from the heat?" Others joined the accusations. Selfish and self-serving. "You do not deserve to be our neighbor." Still others tried to coerce him in the name of so-called collective interests. "In an emergency, resources must be shared. Otherwise, you are a murderer. We are about to die from the heat. How can you live with yourself? Qinshao, come out and give everyone an explanation." Qinshao calmly scrolled through the messages as the system issued consecutive notifications. Intense negative emotion detected. Jealousy plus 99. Intense negative emotion detected. Rage plus 101. When his total negative emotion value exceeded 1000, the system began calculating a new reward. Qinshao then posted photographs of his supplies in the group chat. "That is correct. I do have a considerable stockpile. Anyone who wants some may sign up." Everyone immediately began competing for a share. Me, please give me some. Please share a little with me." Auntie Wang was even more brazenly self-righteous. "Young Qinshao, bring Auntie some food. My legs are not very strong." Another person immediately issued an order. "Bring me 2 cases of water first." The people behind them continued the chain of requests. Qinshao replied with only one message. "Everyone, I do not operate a charity. If you want supplies, exchange something of equal value for them. Otherwise, there is nothing to discuss. Freeloaders will be refused." Auntie Wang erupted in abuse. "You selfish little bastard. Distribute the supplies immediately, and we may still regard you as a good neighbor." Someone took screenshots of the conversation and used them to incite the others. "Everyone, look clearly at his true face. He is watching people die without helping. Retribution will come for him sooner or later." Another person threatened him. "Qinshao, if we starve to death, you will not live comfortably either." Their rage continued, providing the system with exactly the emotional value it needed. When the accumulated negative emotion value reached 3000, the system announced, "Skill upgraded. Basic spatial severing." This ability could create minute spatial fissures within a 3-meter radius and cut through any object they touched. Qinshao raised his hand and tested the new ability. The object in front of him split apart instantly, and a smile appeared on his face. Spatial severing? Now this is interesting. As night descended, a line of vehicles entered the residential complex. Lu Wanqing stepped out wearing formal evening attire, followed closely by Lu Haifeng and a large group of subordinates. Lu Haifeng asked Xiao Zhang beside him, "Xiao Zhang, does the Qinshao you mentioned live here?" Xiao Zhang pointed toward the farthest part of the complex. "Yes, he is in the innermost building." Lu Haifeng put an arm around Lu Wanqing. "Baby, Qinshao used to be your man. I am about to lead my people in ransacking his home. You will not feel sorry for him, will you?" Lu Wanqing immediately pressed herself against him. "Brother Lu Haifeng, you are the only man in my heart now," she added dismissively. He is nothing more than a useless piece of trash." Lu Haifeng looked toward Qinshao's residence and declared coldly, "Qinshao, tonight will be the night you die." When the neighbors in the complex saw the group, they did not hide. Instead, they gathered around voluntarily. "Be brothers, are you here for Qinshao? We are homeowners in this complex, and we are willing to help you teach him a lesson." "Exactly. If he tries to escape, we will block his retreat. We know this area well." Lu Haifeng made a casual promise. "Very well. Help me capture Qinshao, and I will give you a share of the things inside his home." Everyone immediately competed to lead the way. "Thank you, boss. Please come this way. We know a shortcut." What they had not expected was that, after Lu Haifeng's men entered the building, they immediately kicked open the neighbors' doors. One homeowner tried to stop them in panic. "Boss, this is my home. We are on the same side." The other man shoved him away. "Your home? The entire building belongs to Lu now." More residents were driven out of their homes, crying and shouting, "You heartless monsters. You cannot do this. We never offended you." The people who had just been dreaming of receiving a share of Qinshao's supplies quickly lost everything. They could only kneel on the ground and regret. "I was wrong. I was truly wrong. I should never have coveted those few supplies. Now I have nothing left, not even a way to survive." At last, he saw reality clearly. "I must have been blind. How could I have trusted these animals?" Qinshao remained seated inside, eating his meal. Only when the enemies reached his door did he slowly raise his head. Gentlemen, is there something you need?" "Kid, death is already at your door, and you are still putting on an act? Hand over the supplies, and we will leave your corpse intact." Qinshao reminded him indifferently, "Did your parents never teach you?" Interrupting someone someone's meal is extremely impolite. Humiliation drove the man into fury. Damn it, cripple him. Chen Xiao evaded the attack. The men charging at the front collapsed one after another. Another man swung an axe and continued charging. Chen Xiao watched him coldly. So you insist on forcing me to use spatial severing? Just as he prepared to continue, a tear gas grenade landed among the crowd, and white smoke spread rapidly. Lu Haifeng's men covered their mouths and noses. Cough, cough. It is tear gas. This kid is hell. Retreat. Retreat for now. The attackers fled in panic, and Mutsang emerged from the shadows. It seems you have attracted serious trouble. Still, your fighting skills truly are impressive. Chen Xiao recognized him. Why are you here? Mutsang offered a new deal. Do you still need guns? I have better merchandise. After entering the safe house and drinking ice-cold water, Mutsang could not resist exclaiming, being able to drink iced water at a time like this, you truly are living comfortably. Chen Xiao asked him directly, explain why you appeared here. This is nowhere near your territory. Mutsang explained, Lu Haifeng's men have been stealing my business recently. I have watched him for several days. When I saw him heading this way, I followed to investigate. I did not expect him to be coming after you. He quickly shifted the subject to Chen Xiao's supplies. Speaking of which, supplies have been scarce for a long time, yet you still have a substantial stockpile. You could not have managed that without some special source, could you? Chen Xiao looked at him. What are you trying to say? Mutsang hurriedly waved his hands. Do not misunderstand. I have no intention of prying. He then revealed his true purpose. Lu Haifeng has recently stockpiled a large quantity of purified water. I want to cooperate with you and obtain it. I know the layout of his underground operations. You find a way to take the water. Afterward, we will store it here first, and I will find a way to sell it. As the temperature continued rising, water had become true hard currency. Chen Xiao agreed to cooperate but immediately named his terms. We divide the profit 90-10. I receive 90% and you receive 10. Mutsang became agitated on the spot. 90-10? Brother, why do you not simply rob me? The system immediately harvested his shock. Chen Xiao refused to yield. You are unwilling? Then there is nothing to discuss. Mutsang could only grit his teeth and bargain. 80-20. What about 80-30? Give up a little profit. I need to eat too. He could tell that Chen Xiao's confidence meant he still possessed another hidden advantage. Chen Xiao finally said, 80-20 is acceptable. However, whenever new merchandise arrives in the future, I choose first. You may sell whatever remains after I make my selection. Mutsang's face twisted with financial pain. Fine, you are ruthless. The two men formally sealed the deal, and their first step was to determine the stronghold's layout and the distribution of its personnel. Mutsang brought Chen Xiao outside Lu Haifeng's stronghold and pointed ahead. That is Lu Haifeng's base. The trading area is in front, where people barter goods. Inside, people not only exchanged supplies, but many girls had also been abducted and forced to provide so-called special services to the upper ranks. Mutsang continued his explanation. The water storage area is in the rear, but I have not yet identified its exact location. Chen Xiao decided to infiltrate personally. I will blend in and take a look. When you see my signal, create chaos around the perimeter and draw away their main force. Mutsang stared at him in astonishment. You are going alone? How can one person move all that water? Chen Xiao said only, I have my own method. He walked toward the entrance alone, and a guard immediately stopped him. You there, stop. I do not recognize you. Are you new? Where are your credentials? Chen Xiao replied casually. Boss Lu Haifeng sent me to take inventory of the stored water. The guard sneered. Take inventory of the water? You? Do you think you are deceiving a child? After the system harvested the guard's mockery, Chen Xiao had already made his decision. Until now, I have only used spatial severing to cut apples. Today, I will cut something different. A spatial fissure swept across the guard. Chen Xiao seized his weapon in the same motion and struck down the enemies who rushed toward him one after another. The system continuously harvested horror, pain, fear, and despair. The gunshots quickly alerted the stronghold, and more people began shouting. Gunfire! Someone has infiltrated the base. Quickly, follow them. As Chen Xiao evaded his pursuers, someone suddenly pulled him into a dark corner. Liu Yu lowered her voice and motioned for him to remain silent. After recognizing her, Chen Xiao asked, Why are you here? Liu Yu answered, They captured me. What about you? Were you captured too? Chen Xiao asked directly. Do you know where they store the water? Liu Yu nodded. Yes, they made me clean the place, so I learned the entire layout long ago. I will take you there. The pursuers quickly drew near, and someone shouted, There are people over there. Quickly, Liu Yu swiftly led the way. Follow me. There are no cameras along this route. After they reached the outside of the water storage area, Chen Xiao instructed her, Find somewhere to hide and wait until I come out. He then used spatial severing to break through the barricade and force his way into the warehouse. The guards demanded in shock and fury, Who are you? How did you get inside? Spatial fissures swept directly across them, and the system again harvested shock, fear, and pain. Liu Yu waited outside for a long time and could not help worrying. Chen Xiao has been inside for so long. Could something have happened to him? The interior of the warehouse suddenly burst open, and debris flew through the doorway. Liu Yu instinctively raised her hands to shield herself. Chen Xiao caught her wrist in time and said calmly, It is handled. Let us go. He then sent a signal into the sky. When Mutsang saw the signal from a distance, he said excitedly, He succeeded. Chen Xiao was genuinely capable. He immediately ignited the incendiary materials he had prepared and sent sent them into Lu Haifeng's stronghold. The fire spread rapidly, and the people inside shouted in panic. Fire! Put it out! It is an incendiary bomb. Run! Mutsang drew the guards away at the perimeter, while Liu Yu pointed toward an exit. This way, pass through this alley, and we will reach the outer side of the south gate. As everyone withdrew, Lu Wanqing suddenly rushed out and grabbed Chen Xiao. Chen Xiao, take me with you. She dropped to her knees and pleaded, please, for the sake of the relationship we once had, if you take me away from here, I will not hold it against you that you used my name to secure the loan. Chen Xiao sneered. You will not hold it against me, madam. You truly do not understand your position. Lu Wanqing sobbed. Here, they force me every day. Force me to entertain those old men. When I resist, they beat me. When I run away, they capture me and bring me back. I truly have nowhere else to go. Let me live with you. I am willing to do anything for you. Chen Xiao looked down at her. When you mocked me for being poor, called me a lapdog, slept with old men behind my back, and led Lu Haifeng here to kill me, did you ever imagine this day would come? Memories of his previous life flashed through his mind again, and he continued, when you had my body dismembered in my previous life, did you ever imagine this day would come? Chen Xiao had long since seen through her performance. Your acting is still as terrible as ever. He turned to Liu Yu. Let us go. Lu Wanqing lost control completely. Fine, Chen Xiao, you are ruthless. If you refuse to let me live, then no one else will have a peaceful life either. The system instantly harvested 999 points of hatred. Lu Haifeng arrived at the water warehouse with his men, and his first words were, where is the water? My water is unharmed, is it not? The warehouse, however, had already been emptied. Chen Xiao had left behind a single message. Boss Lu Haifeng, I have taken the water. Until next time. Lu Haifeng demanded in a rage. Who did this? Lu Wanqing immediately placed all the blame on Chen Xiao. Boss Lu Haifeng, it was Chen Xiao. I tried to stop him, but he injured me. He also said you were useless and unworthy of possessing these resources. She continued inciting him. He also said he intends to kill every one of us. Lu Haifeng immediately led his men in pursuit. Everyone, follow me to the south gate. Slaughter that bastard. Mutsang watched the commotion grow and laughed. This has become quite a spectacle. Chen Xiao replied calmly. Indeed it has. Lu Haifeng soon reached the south gate. Go! Capture him. From the other side of the wall of fire, he roared furiously. Chen Xiao, I swear I will kill you. The system again harvested 999 points of hatred. Standing on the opposite side of the flames, Chen Xiao said indifferently, thank you, Boss Lu Haifeng. I will gladly accept these emotion points. His accumulated negative emotions once again reached 3,000, and the system asked whether he wished to unlock the new skill, Spatial Barrier. Mutsang said excitedly, brother, that was incredible. Old Dog Lu is probably tearing his entire base apart right now. Liu Yu also thanked him earnestly. Chen Xiao, thank you so much. Without you, I have no idea how much longer I would have remained in that hellish place. Chen Xiao replied, we are former classmates. There is no need for such formality. Liu Yu said, this is more than politeness. You made me feel that there are still people in this world worthy of trust. Mutsang deliberately teased him. That heroic rescue was quite an elegant move. He immediately followed with another question. Come on, tell your brother the truth. How did you do it? You emptied an entire water reservoir by yourself. Was that some kind of damned magic trick? Chen Xiao said only, I have my own methods. He then left the aftermath to Mutsang. You should concern yourself with how to sell this much water safely. By the way, after we graduated from middle school, there seemed to be no news of you at all. After graduation, something unexpected happened to my family. My parents disappeared at the same time. Before anyone could ask further questions, a large fire had already ignited outside. Mutsang rushed to the window. Damn, there is a fire outside. Someone below held a child and cried for help. Help, save the child. The survivors quickly confirmed the culprit. Lu Haifeng did this. Does that bastard intend to force every one of us to die? Liu Yu could not resist asking, should we do something? Chen Xiao saw through Lu Haifeng's objective. Lu Haifeng wants to bind me with morality and the lives of innocent people as his rope. Unfortunately for him, I am no longer the foolishly kind man from my previous life who would let that rope strangle me to death. Outside, Lu Haifeng issued a threat through a loudspeaker. Chen Xiao, let us see how long you can hide. If you still refuse to come out, I will burn this entire area to ashes and see how long your metal turtle shell can withstand it. A subordinate flattered him. The boss is truly wise. Make the fire larger. Even if it cannot burn them to death, the smoke will suffocate them. Lu Haifeng sneered smugly. You thought you could fight me? This is the consequence. Liu Yu said anxiously. Chen Xiao, this cannot continue. The heat will conduct through the structure. Even if the flames do not kill us, we will either be roasted dry or run out of oxygen. Chen Xiao remained completely calm. In a heat apocalypse, how could I possibly be foolish enough not to install the highest grade fire protection system in my safe house? He pressed a button, simultaneously activating the nanoscale aerogel insulation layer and the automatic fire suppression equipment. Mutsang stared in astonishment. Damn, nanoscale aerogel? You were even able to obtain this? This is military equipment, is it not? White fire suppression material rapidly sprayed across the building, isolating the blaze outside while the interior remained completely safe. Lu Haifeng stared at the undamaged safe house. A final, desperate struggle. He continued issuing orders. Keep going. Continue. Damn you. I refuse to believe that broken contraption of his has an unlimited limited supply. Very soon, however, a subordinate reported in panic. "B-boss, we are almost out of fuel." Through the broadcast system, Chen Shao asked, "Boss Lu Haifeng, have you finished playing with fire? Would you like to come inside for a glass of ice water and cool your temper?" The system immediately harvested 888 points of rage. Lu Haifeng did not give up. Instead, he fixed his attention on the safe house. "No, I have changed my mind. Simply killing Chen Shao would be far too merciful. This house is fireproof, solid, and self-sufficient. It is the perfect shelter, and it must belong to me." Since both direct assault and fire had failed, he decided to discard the last remnants of restraint. Lu Haifeng marched the trapped residents outside the safe house and shouted, "Chen Shao, get out here. Look at these people. They are suffering entirely because of you." Auntie Wang joined the abuse. "Chen Shao, you damned little bastard. You offended Boss Lu Haifeng and dragged all of us down with you. Come out immediately. Lu Haifeng is a bastard. If there's no other choice, we should charge outside and fight him to the death." Chen Shao, however, remained perfectly clear-headed. He wants to use other people's lives to morally blackmail me. Unfortunately for him, in this world, softness of heart is no different from suicide. Lu Haifeng continued shouting, "Chen Shao, how long do you intend to remain a cowardly turtle hiding in a shell?" Uncle Wang, who had been tied up, instead urged him, "Young man, stay alive. As long as you live, there is hope." Chen Shao was silent for a moment, then told Mutsang, "Wait for me here." He decided to go outside personally. "I will settle accounts with Boss Lu Haifeng. There is no need to involve anyone else." Chen Shao stepped out of the safe house, and Lu Haifeng mocked him. "Chen Shao, you finally agreed to crawl out of your turtle shell? What, do you want to be a hero? Fine. Repay the money, hand over the water, and leave your life behind. Then I may consider releasing them." Chen Shao replied calmly, "A hero? I have no interest in being one." He changed the subject. "Boss Lu Haifeng, fighting and killing are so tedious, and they damage one's karma." Chen Shao had already investigated Lu Haifeng's background. "I heard you began your career by operating a casino. Why not settle this in the manner you understand best? Shall we gamble on one game?" He offered the wager himself. "If you win, everything I possess becomes yours. If I win, however, you release Uncle Wang and leave this entire area." Lu Haifeng laughed loudly and agreed. Very well. They decided to wager on the total of a dice roll, with a single round determining life and death. Chen Shao made his choice. "Fine, I wager on high." Lu Haifeng personally shook the dice while his subordinates continuously shouted, "The boss will win." When the cup was lifted, 3 sixes lay inside. Lu Haifeng burst into laughter. "Ha ha ha, 3 sixes, the supreme roll. You have lost." Chen Shao reminded him, "Boss Lu Haifeng, do not be impatient. Victory and defeat have not yet been decided." He activated spatial severing, and every die was cut in half. Chen Shao looked at the split dice. "Boss Lu Haifeng, it appears your dice are not very well made." Lu Haifeng stared at the pips in shock and fury. "Why have they all been split in half?" Chen Shao recalculated the pips on the cut surfaces. "The total is 12, which is higher than your supreme roll." Lu Haifeng immediately reneged. "You dare cheat." The system harvested 500 points of rage. Lu Haifeng drew his gun and roared, "You little bastard, die!" Chen Shao had been preparing to test the new skill he had just unlocked. As the bullets approached, the spatial barrier instantly unfolded and blocked every attack outside it. After the sustained gunfire ended, everyone discovered that Chen Shao was completely unharmed. Lu Haifeng produced a more powerful weapon with a vicious grin. "I refuse to believe you can evade this as well. Die, Chen Shao! Your entire inheritance belongs to me." The spatial barrier opened again, blocking even the explosive attack outside it. Lu Haifeng stared in disbelief. What is happening? His men were even more horrified. "It can actually stop bullets." Chen Shao stepped out from behind the barrier. "Boss Lu Haifeng, are you unable to accept defeat? Do you intend to break your word in front of all these witnesses?" Chen Shao effortlessly severed the other man's weapon and said indifferently, "Boss Lu Haifeng, a man who does not even possess a respectable blade is unqualified to negotiate terms with me." Lu Haifeng finally realized that something was wrong. There is something unnatural about this man. Something is definitely wrong. Chen Shao advanced one step at a time. "Boss Lu Haifeng, you have caused me trouble repeatedly and challenged my limits again and again. It is time to settle our account." Lu Haifeng knew the fuel he had brought was exhausted and that a direct confrontation would only cost him more, yet he still regarded Chen Shao and the safe house as a mountain of gold. He abruptly changed tactics and decided to stabilize Chen Shao first. "Perhaps I should recruit Chen Shao. Then I could recover all my earlier losses with interest." Lu Haifeng forced a smile. "Brother Chen Shao, this was a misunderstanding. It was all a misunderstanding. The two of us have become acquainted through conflict. Why do we not make a deal? Chen Shao, listen to me. If you kill me, you will gain nothing except blood splattered over your clothes." He continued trying to persuade him. "In this world, human life is the least valuable thing, but I can help you survive and live better." Lu Haifeng presented his true bargaining chip. "I possess a shipment of medicine, all of it antibiotics, penicillin, cephalosporins. Do you understand how precious those drugs are now?" He emphasized, "Even a minor infected wound can kill someone. Spare me, and I will give you half of that medicine." Chen Shao acknowledged, "In times like these, antibiotics truly are hard currency." Believing that he had become interested, Lu Haifeng said, "You have food and drink but no medicine. A single illness could still kill you. You should cooperate with me. The medicine is stored in an abandoned factory factory in the Western District, but only I know the access code. Very well. Tonight's matter ends here. Lu Haifeng hurriedly agreed. Yes, it ends here. It is good that the misunderstanding has been resolved. Chen Xiao said. You may leave, boss Lu Haifeng. We can discuss the details another day. Lu Haifeng departed with his subordinates in humiliating disorder. Watching their retreating backs, Chen Xiao understood perfectly. Do you think a mere access code can stop me? Even without the code, I can open the door. He walked over to Uncle Wang. Uncle Wang, it is over. They have all left. Still shaken, Uncle Wang nevertheless thanked him sincerely. Young Chen Xiao, thank you. You saved my life. If you ever have use for this old man in the future, simply ask. The old man continued. I am too old to risk my life in a fight, but I can still help you plant vegetable seedlings and perform miscellaneous work. Chen Xiao declined politely. Uncle Wang, I understand and appreciate your intention. Return home first, lock your door, and rest properly. Elsewhere, the moment Lu Haifeng escaped, he revealed his true nature. That genuinely frightened me just now. That Chen Xiao, he sneered. He is nothing but a reckless fool. Does he truly believe I would share the medicine with him? Cooperation? Bah! Lu Haifeng said smugly. It was merely a delaying tactic. First, I will keep him calm. Once I obtain the supplies in his hands, I will show him exactly how I intend to kill him. He wants to fight me? He is still far too inexperienced. His subordinates continued flattering him. The boss is wise. Chen Xiao dares oppose you? I wager he will not survive 3 days. Lu Haifeng still harbored some fear. However, there truly is something wrong with Chen Xiao. Even artillery shells cannot reach his body. He instructed Pineapple Head. When you have time during the next 2 days, investigate him. Before he could finish speaking, Lu Haifeng's neck was severed by a spatial slash, and his men immediately screamed in panic. Using his spatial ability, Chen Xiao had intercepted them in advance. He left them only one final sentence. Farewell, boss Lu Haifeng. Immediately afterward, an official emergency broadcast spread across the city. The global heat phenomenon has completely escaped control. Multiple climatic tipping points have been crossed, and the ecosystem is on the verge of collapse. The authorities formally presented 2 choices. First, migrate north to the temporary northern shelters established by the government. Second, remain where you are and await rescue. We repeat, this is not a drill. Chen Xiao knew, however, that the so-called northern sanctuary would soon become another inferno, while waiting in place for rescue was an even greater fantasy. The true nightmare had only begun. Before long, heat-resistant mutant beasts would devour every product of civilization, while awakened humans would form rival factions and slaughter one another for resources. Chen Xiao looked at his safe house with a greater objective already in mind. What I must do is far more than merely defend this safe house. I will transform it into the final fortress for survival in this apocalypse. The neighbors downstairs, however, gathered once again. Someone pointed at the safe house and incited the crowd. Everyone, look, we are starving here, and our homes have been burned until nothing remains. But what about Chen Xiao? He occupies such a large and solid fortress all by himself. There is food, water, and air conditioning inside. Why should he have all of it? The crowd joined the shouting. Chen Xiao, get out here. Everyone ended up like this because you refused to help earlier. You owe all of us an explanation. We have already discussed it. You must share your safe house. Everyone will take turns living inside. This is necessary for the survival of the collective. Chen Xiao simply activated the display screen and allowed them to see that he was eating steak. The crowd stared in disbelief. He is eating steak? We cannot even obtain water, and he is sitting in air conditioning. The system immediately harvested jealousy, rage, and despair. Chen Xiao commented disdainfully, powerless fury is the cheapest emotion in the apocalypse. The people below were humiliated into anger. Damn it, he refuses courtesy and chooses punishment. I swear I will kill him. Chen Xiao could not be bothered to continue responding and decided to scout the abandoned factory in the Western District first. Several thugs still blocked the way outside and issued threats. Chen Xiao, if you do not surrender this house today, we brothers will cripple you. Chen Xiao walked out of the main entrance, effortlessly caught the incoming attack, and used extremely short spatial fissures to leave wounds on their bodies. Someone demanded in terror, you dare kill people in broad daylight? So many people are watching. The system instantly harvested 1,000 points of fear. Chen Xiao said, kill you? I would be afraid of dirtying my hands. Before turning away, he continued his warning. Killing you outright would be far too merciful. In weather like this, your wounds will become infected, ulcerate, and turn septic. Within a few days, you will slowly rot in agony. After arriving at the factory in the Western District, Chen Xiao quickly discovered a surveillance camera installed outside the entrance. He did not retreat and infiltrated the interior directly. A pungent cloud of smoke soon drifted through the factory. Chen Xiao covered his mouth and nose. Poison gas. The toxin rapidly drained his strength, and he realized, damn it, this is a trap. Just as he was about to collapse, an elderly man wearing a gas mask appeared. When Chen Xiao regained consciousness, the old man asked, young man, are you feeling better? He explained, this nerve agent gas is not fatal, but the experience is extremely unpleasant. Chen Xiao asked warily, who are you people? He had not expected guards to remain inside the factory and increasingly suspected that Lu Haifeng had deliberately concealed the truth. The old man introduced himself. My name is Lin Guodong. I am a biomedical researcher specializing in the evolution of human beings under extreme environmental conditions. He then then pointed to the girl beside him. This is my student, Surue. I am also the person responsible for this facility. Surue greeted him politely. Hello, Lin Guodong explained. The poison gas outside is a necessary anti-theft measure. Then he stared at the severed door lock. However, I am more curious about the tool you used. This cut is highly unusual. Chen Xiao thanked both of them. Professor Lin Guodong, thank you for saving me. Nevertheless, he did not lower his guard completely. Why would biomedical researchers occupy a factory like this? Was it truly only a pharmaceutical storage facility? Lin Guodong seemed to recognize his objective. You need medicine, correct? Take whatever you require. Consider it both my apology for the security measures and a gift to mark our first meeting. Chen Xiao did not stand on ceremony. He collected every antibiotic and medicine he needed. Thank you. Until we meet again. After leaving the factory, he recalled Lin Guodong's gaze. Although Professor Lin Guodong saved me and did not make matters difficult, the way he looked at me always makes my skin crawl. The homeowners group chat began issuing pleas for help again. Does anyone have antibiotics or medicine to stop bleeding? Help! I will pay a high price. Chen Xiao looked at the medicine he had just obtained. I acquired several boxes only moments ago. They should work well. However, they are not for sale. The people he had wounded earlier began abusing him furiously in the group. Chen Xiao, you selfish, self-serving villain. Chen Xiao, you shameless bastard. Once we brothers recover from our wounds, we will come to your door and take your life. Exactly. Just wait. Chen Xiao. The system continued harvesting rage, hatred, and jealousy. Chen Xiao suddenly stopped walking and found a concealed device among the items he carried. Is this a tracking device? Holding the tracker, Chen Xiao considered the situation. A tracking device? Who placed it in my bag? And when did they do it? He did not rush to destroy it. Instead, he smiled. You want to play a tracking game? Very well. I will play with you. Chen Xiao found a stray cat and fastened the tracker to its body. Little fellow, do me a favor. Carry this wherever you usually feel like going. Far away. The person monitoring the positioning signal stared at the coordinates darting chaotically in every direction and could not understand them. What is happening? This movement pattern. What exactly is he doing? Meanwhile, people in the homeowners group continued begging for medicine. Does anyone have medication? Anti-inflammatory drugs? Fever reducers? My brother is dying. Someone attempted moral coercion. You cannot simply watch him die without helping. Wang Wei also began sobbing. Please, everyone. My child has not had clean water for 2 days. Could any kind-hearted person spare a little? I will exchange my treasured picture books. Everything is negotiable. Chen Xiao recognized her tactic. The same performance designed to win sympathy again. In my previous life, she used this method to obtain a great many benefits. Wang Wei soon attacked him by name in the group. Chen Xiao, you have stockpiled so many supplies. Do you intend to take them into your coffin? Why are you pretending to be dead? Do you possess even the slightest humanity? An irresponsible, cold-blooded, selfish man like you deserves to remain single for life. Chen Xiao found her ridiculous. This woman is absurd. The child is not mine, so why should I be responsible? Hypocrisy and moral blackmail do not work on me. He replied directly. Wang Wei, take out the 3 cases of water and 2 cases of canned food you have hidden and distribute them first. Whatever amount you share, I will contribute twice as much. Wang Wei froze. She had not expected Chen Xiao to have installed surveillance cameras in the corridor. The footage clearly recorded her secretly transporting the supplies. She thought in panic. I was so careful, yet the camera still captured me. The people in the group immediately turned against her. Wang Wei, you concealed this much water? Bring it out. Distribute it to us immediately. The same people who had been morally blackmailing Chen Xiao moments before now surrounded Wang Wei instead. After Wang Wei hid her supplies, the furious neighbors smashed open her door. People inside, hand over all the food and drink. Do not force us to use violence. The crowd broke into the home and rummaged through every cabinet and drawer, quickly stealing everything she had stockpiled. Wang Wei was beaten until her entire body was covered in injuries and could only watch helplessly as the looters departed. Someone looked at a fallen companion and said quietly, farewell, brother. The corpse remained inside the building, and the residents worried that the extreme heat would cause it to decay. Are we simply leaving it here? It will rot and begin to stink. Then all of us will become infected. What are we supposed to do? Is there truly no one who cares whether we live or die? At that moment, a team wearing protective suits entered the residential complex. Everyone, do not panic. Remain calm. We are a medical team under the Municipal Center for Disease Control and Prevention, and we have come to assist you. Lin Guodong, who led the team, explained, everyone has suffered greatly. We came immediately after receiving our orders, but the roads were obstructed, and unfortunately we still arrived one step too late. There's still time to handle the situation now. In heat like this, corpses must immediately undergo professional biosecure disposal. If an epidemic breaks out, the consequences will be unimaginable. He also brought out disinfectant tablets and basic medicine. The quantities are limited. Everyone must distribute them according to need and use them properly. The residents were profoundly grateful. Thank you so much. You truly are our savior. I knew the country had not forgotten us. It turned out that Liang Guodong had discovered that the signal became completely scrambled around this area. He had to be somewhere nearby. He couldn't have gotten far. After reaching the nearby area, Chen Xiao recognized Liang Guodong among the crowd. Professor Lin Guodong, why has he come here? Could he be the person tracking me? At that moment, an unfamiliar text message suddenly appeared. Beware of that doctor. Chen Xiao stared at the virtual number. Who sent this message? He remained concealed and continued observing, suspecting that yet another person was watching him. Chen Xiao called the number back but heard only an automated announcement. Hello, the number you have dialed is a virtual number. He realized the sender had deliberately concealed their identity. Are they warning me out of goodwill, or do they want to use me to deal with Professor Lin Guodong? The residents continued surrounding Lin Guodong and thanking him. Fortunately, Professor Lin Guodong helped us. In weather like this, leaving a corpse for too long truly would have caused trouble. Lin Guodong responded gently. This is simply what I should do. Everyone, protect yourselves from the heat. If you feel any discomfort, come to me at any time. Chen Xiao, however, noticed a dried reagent resembling bloodstains on his clothing. After the heat catastrophe erupted in his previous life, so-called medical teams had appeared in certain areas as well. They collected blood samples in the name of disease prevention, after which physically robust people began disappearing under mysterious circumstances. Lin Guodong soon posted an announcement to prevent heat stroke and the spread of heat-related infectious diseases. We are providing basic physical examinations, wound treatment, and nutritional supplements. Location: underground parking garage number 3. Every participant in the examination may additionally receive 1 bottle of water. The residents marveled that the team was conducting examinations despite the extreme heat. While Lin Guodong followed the tracking signal to the underground parking garage, he saw the cat eating. The moment he attempted to approach, he was discovered, and the system received speechlessness plus 25, resentment plus 39. Chen Xiao concealed himself. It truly is him. The temperature inside the parking garage was lower, and Lin Guodong was registering residents. Name, age, have you experienced any physical discomfort recently? An elderly man answered. Chinda, 76 years old. I have not felt unwell recently, but my blood pressure has always been high. When the old man saw the syringe, he asked, why do you also need to draw blood? A medical worker held a test tube labeled GHT017 and reassured him, do not worry, it is only a routine examination. Chen Xiao observed from the shadows. What exactly is Professor Lin Guodong trying to accomplish? Suddenly, Zhang Chang rushed inside with the injured Abu. Professor, my brother's wound is infected. Please save him. Lin Guodong produced a drug. This is a new broad-spectrum enhancer. It accelerates wound healing and resists infection. Rest properly for the next 2 days, and you will recover quickly. Zhang Chang thanked him repeatedly, but Lin Guodong kept his eyes fixed on the instrument readings. Abu soon clutched his body. Boss, it feels as though my bones are burning. It hurts so badly. In the next instant, Abu suddenly mutated and seized Zhang Chang by the throat. Zhang Chang shouted in terror, Abu, what is wrong with you? Have you lost your mind? Let go. I am Zhang Chang, your boss. Abu roared, my boss? When you pushed me forward to block a knife for you last time, why did you not remember that you were my boss? Amid the chaos, Abu suddenly looked toward the shadows. Who is there? Zhang Chang also recognized Chen Xiao. Chen Xiao, it is you. Abu lunged at Chen Xiao, who evaded him effortlessly. He assessed the situation rapidly. His strength has increased by more than 3 times. His movements are rigid, and every attack follows a straight trajectory. This is absolutely not a normal reaction to medicine. Abu charged again, and Chen Xiao ended his test. It is time to finish this. He avoided the frontal attack, and spatial severing instantly swept across Abu's vital point. After arriving, Lin Guodong examined the corpse. T7 prototype serum. Excessive stimulation caused neurological collapse, but that should not have been the direct cause of death. He then discovered that the wound on Abu's neck was identical to the cuts on Lu Haifeng and the door lock. All of them are exceptionally neat and smooth. No equipment, no weapon, yet the human body was severed. An ordinary person could never accomplish this. Lin Guodong thought of Chen Xiao. The day I met him, I sensed that he was unusual. I was correct. Perhaps he truly possesses what I have been searching for. The injured Zhang Chang grabbed him and begged for help. Professor Lin Guodong, why are you here? Save me. Abu. Lin Guodong pretended to be surprised. Abu, what happened to him? Zhang Chang immediately blamed everything on Chen Xiao and volunteered. Chen Xiao, I know where he lives. I can tell you. Lin Guodong promised. My laboratory has the finest equipment. We will arrange the best possible treatment for you. Zhang Chang developed a severe rejection reaction immediately after the injection. His assistant Su Rui hesitated, but Lin Guodong said coldly, for science, and for your own life, remain quiet. After Chen Xiao returned home, he was still considering Lin Guodong's objective when the doorbell suddenly rang. Lin Guodong's voice came from outside. Chen Xiao, this is Professor Lin Guodong. May we talk? Chen Xiao used the surveillance cameras to confirm that no one else was nearby, then opened the door. Professor Lin Guodong, what brings you here so late? Lin Guodong smiled. Chen Xiao, you do indeed live here. I apologize for disturbing you at such a late hour. Chen Xiao decided to see what he wanted first. After entering the living room, Lin Guodong surveyed the surroundings. This house is quite unusual. It does not resemble an ordinary home. It is more like an apocalyptic safe house. Chen Xiao explained casually, I bought a renovation package during last year's Singles Day sale. The contractor claimed it would last 50 years. I thought he was boasting, but apparently he was a prophet. Lin Guodong said, interesting. However, Chen Xiao, I came today because I want to ask you about several matters. You know that your neighbor Abu died. died, correct? And Lu Haifeng, who caused trouble for you earlier, also died recently. He stated the point directly. I examined their corpses. Both men's cervical vertebrae were severed instantaneously, and the cuts were as smooth as laser surgery. No ordinary blade could create wounds like those. Even military weapons could not do it. Chen Xiao deliberately pretended not to understand. Could the blades have been produced by the same manufacturer? Professor Lin Guodong, if you identify the brand, make certain you recommend it to me. Lin Guodong asked. For what purpose? Tell me. Chen Xiao answered. For cutting steak. Naturally, refrigeration is unreliable in this heat, and meat becomes tough easily, so one needs a good knife. The system immediately received Lin Guodong's speechless exasperation. Chen Xiao then asked, Is Zhang Chang with you? Lin Guodong answered. He is seriously injured. I am treating him. Inside the laboratory, Zhang Chang was already breathing rapidly. The instruments showed violent fluctuations in his vital signs, and his genetic mutation rate had reached 37%. Chen Xiao stopped speaking in circles. What exactly is your purpose in approaching me? Lin Guodong produced a blue drug. This is an immune enhancer I developed. It can resist multiple pathogens that thrive under extreme heat, and it has no side effects. Chen Xiao examined its color. It resembles blueberry soda. Should I shake it before drinking? Lin Guodong again contributed speechless exasperation, then admitted, I know that you are not an ordinary person. The extreme heat will continue, and the world will change. The survival rate of ordinary people will be less than 10%, but certain people will inevitably evolve. Chen Xiao asked, Evolve in the same manner as Zhang Chang? Lin Guodong answered calmly, That is a necessary price. Scientific progress always requires someone to walk at the front. Your body displays more stable evolutionary characteristics. We can cooperate and discover a method that allows humanity to adapt to the new world. Chen Xiao refused directly. What if I say no? Lin Guodong still left the reagent on the table. You do not need to answer immediately. The extreme heat will continue. Infection, disease, and mutant creatures will follow one after another. If you cooperate with me, this knowledge and technology will allow you to live longer. The doors of my laboratory will remain open to you at all times. As he left, he concluded privately that Chen Xiao was an exceptionally valuable living specimen. Chen Xiao, you cannot escape. Chen Xiao looked at the reagent on the table and said coldly, That treacherous old bastard is truly difficult to handle. He conducts experiments on living people, yet describes it with such righteous grandeur. Unless I eliminate him, there will be no peace. He decided to show Lin Guodong what true evolution looked like. Lin Guodong confirmed that Zhang Chang's vital signs were stable and immediately ordered, Zhang Chang, depart now. Bring Chen Xiao back. I want him alive. Late that night, Zhang Chang, now completely transformed into a beast, arrived near the safe house. Chen Xiao stepped outside and looked at the empty street. Zhang Chang, is that truly you? We have not seen each other for only a few days. How did you become this? He continued provoking him. Tell me, should I keep calling you Zhang Chang, or should I rename you Lucky from now on? The system immediately received 1,000 points of rage. Chen Xiao discovered that the beast transformed Zhang Chang produced far more intense emotions, increasing harvesting efficiency by over 30%. He turned and said, Follow me. We will go somewhere spacious. I have no desire to fight you outside my own home. Besides disturbing the neighbors, you could damage my safe house, and you could never afford to compensate me. After reaching an open area, Chen Xiao launched his attack. Experience my spatial severing. A spatial fissure swept across Zhang Chang's body, yet he remained completely unharmed. Chen Xiao commented, Your hide has become much thicker. He continued mocking him. You look genuinely hideous now. Zhang Chang's rage continued rising. His body mutated again, and bone spikes emerged from within him. Chen Xiao realized the situation was abnormal. Damn, bone spikes. Watching from a distance, Lin Guodong issued an excited order. Second stage mutation. An emotional eruption can actually catalyze morphological evolution. Su Rui, record every piece of data. Su Rui watched the surveillance feed and whispered doubtfully, Is this truly the path to saving humanity? Zhang Chang launched a second attack. While evading repeatedly, Chen Xiao checked his skill status. Spatial severing, intermediate, 87%. At the same time, the system warned that the target's energy continued rising. Chen Xiao deliberately stopped. It is still slightly short. He continued provoking him. Zhang Chang, is this all you can do? At least the old you dared to fight people with a steel pipe in your hands. What about now? You received a few injections and grew some bones, and now you truly believe you are someone important? Zhang Chang's humiliation and rage surged simultaneously. Chen Xiao added one more sentence. That damned Professor Lin Guodong points at someone and tells you to bite, and you bite. You are still nothing but a dog, are you not? Zhang Chang erupted completely, while Lin Guodong laughed in excitement. Chen Xiao is truly my benefactor. He is actually helping me stimulate the subject. Su Rui could not understand Chen Xiao's intention. Chen Xiao merely said indifferently, Is that all? Come again if you have the courage. Zhang Chang's rage reached its peak, and the system immediately asked, Evolve now? Chen Xiao chose, Yes. A new spatial force erupted instantly, severing Zhang Chang's arm outright. Chen Xiao tore out a remaining bone spike and spoke toward the surveillance camera. Professor Lin Guodong, this experimental subject is rather inadequate. Next time, send someone capable of fighting. Instead of becoming angry, Lin Guodong laughed loudly. Excellent, Chen Xiao. You truly truly are extraordinary. Just wait, sooner or later, I will capture you. Zhang Chang had already lost the ability to move. Chen Xiao ended his suffering. You are pitiful, so I will send you on your way. No need to thank me. After Zhang Chang collapsed, footsteps sounded from behind. An unfamiliar man applauded. Magnificent, truly magnificent. Chen Xiao turned and asked, "Who are you?" The man stepped out of the shadows and introduced himself as Chen Shishing. He inhaled the air and said, "The scent of death is always so primal and pungent. However, the battle just now was magnificent. As expected, although this is an age of despair, it will also be an age in which gods rise." Chen Shishing assessed him. "Chen Xiao, with that precision and destructive power, you are certainly not one of the unfinished products created by that madman Lin Guodong." Chen Xiao asked, "You know Lin Guodong? Are you his accomplice?" Chen Shishing denied it. "I am precisely his opposite. I came to prevent him from creating further tragedies. I sent the anonymous message warning you to stay away from Lin Guodong." Chen Xiao pressed him. "How did you obtain my phone number?" Chen Shishing explained. "The ARC Group has its own intelligence network. That was not difficult. My name is Chen Shishing, and on behalf of ARC, I invite you to join us. We can offer you true evolution." Chen Xiao realized that ability-wielding awakened people had appeared earlier in this life than they had before. Chen Shishing continued, "Unlike Lin Guodong's method, which exhausts life and twists the flesh, ours produces comprehensive enhancement while preserving both sanity and appearance." Chen Xiao asked, "What is ARC?" Chen Shishing answered, "An organization that searches for awakened people. We believe the world is approaching a transformation, and only the true elite can board the Ark of the New Age. You plainly possess that qualification. Join us, Chen Xiao. I can offer you what Lin Guodong cannot. We can make you stronger, not through grotesque mutation, but through a genuine path to godhood in which you retain your reason, master your power, and transcend ordinary humanity." After listening, Chen Xiao said only, "A path to godhood? So you are merely a religious charlatan." He suddenly attacked, then explained indifferently, "My apologies. My hand slipped. I dislike other people arranging my life for me. Whether it is a genuine madman like Lin Guodong or a hypocrite like you who calls himself elite, I will choose neither. I walk only my own path." Chen Shishing did not become angry. "You have character. I appreciate you more and more. However, in this world that is about to collapse, one person's power may preserve him temporarily, but not for long. When you realize that individual strength ultimately has limits, ARC's doors will remain open to you." After he departed, the system calculated the contempt, speechless exasperation, surprise, and wariness contributed by Chen Shishing. Chen Xiao smiled. He still contributed a substantial amount of negative emotion. "Then I will simply break through that limit." He immediately looked toward Lin Guodong's laboratory. "Before that, however, Lin Guodong, it is time for us to reach a conclusion." Chen Xiao infiltrated the laboratory hidden inside the abandoned factory. A locked steel door blocked the entrance, but a casual flick of his fingers opened a spatial fissure that sliced the lock apart. The scene beyond the door was even more revolting than he had imagined. Rows of transparent cultivation tanks filled the hall, each containing a twisted humanoid specimen covered in scars, deformities, or unnatural growths. Chen Xiao stared at the failed test subjects with cold disgust. "So this is Lin Guodong's scientific ideal? Nauseating. A place like this should be burned to the ground." Lin Guodong stepped from between the tanks as though he had been waiting for an honored guest. "Welcome, Chen Xiao. You finally came." He adjusted his glasses and smiled. "I knew you would come. A perfect specimen like you could never be content to remain ordinary for the rest of your life." Lin Guodong admitted that Zhang Chang had failed, but said that bringing Chen Xiao to the laboratory had at least made his death worthwhile. Then he extended a hand and asked, "Have you finally thought it through? Are you willing to devote yourself to the great evolution of humanity?" Chen Xiao answered with a single word, "Disgusting." Lin Guodong continued preaching. He mocked ARC's claims of rational, controllable evolution, calling Chen Shishing and his companions nothing more than hypocrites wearing sacred robes. According to him, every great step in human history had been taken over corpses and completed in blood. "Your ability is a treasure granted by heaven. It should not be wasted on the trivial affairs of ordinary people." Chen Xiao dug a finger into his ear and interrupted him. "Are you finished?" He looked around at the bodies suspended in glass. "Human progress? What does that have to do with me? I had no interest in your filthy experiments, but you should never have disturbed my peace." Dark spatial energy gathered around his hand. "Since you refuse to leave me alone, I can only ask you to disappear." Lin Guodong remained confident. He claimed that Chen Xiao was still too young and that, since he had deliberately allowed him to enter the laboratory, he naturally possessed a way to keep him there. After the battle with Zhang Chang, Chen Xiao could not have much strength remaining. If he surrendered obediently, Lin promised to spare him unnecessary suffering. Chen Xiao replied, "And if I say no, then you have only one ending." Lin Guodong pressed the switch hidden in his hand. The cultivation tanks shattered simultaneously. Preservative fluid and broken glass flooded the floor as three enormous mutated subjects burst free. Their bodies were covered in hardened muscle, protruding bone spikes, and distorted claws, and they charged at Chen Xiao from three directions. Lin Guodong shouted excitedly, "Become my experimental subject." Chen Xiao raised an arm to shield himself from the flying glass, then swept spatial severing across the hall. He slipped between their attacks, cutting through limbs and joints while refusing to let them surround him. Lin Guodong continued tempting him from a safe distance. "Stay, Chen Xiao. I can make you even stronger." water. Chen Xiao glanced at the mindless monsters and sneered. With these brainless things, his stamina was already running low, so he decided to end the battle quickly. Spatial blades flashed through the laboratory again and again. The three monsters crashed to the floor. Chen Xiao landed among the broken tanks, breathing hard but still standing. He looked toward Lin Wodong. You thought 3 monsters were enough to keep me here? Chen Xiao walked forward slowly. Professor Lin, you have lived 40 or 50 years, yet you are still unbelievably naive. It is over. I will see you off. Lin Wodong finally realized that his trap had failed, and he dropped to his knees. Coughing blood, he still praised Chen Xiao's power. Then he revealed that all of the data concerning his mutation drugs had already been transmitted elsewhere. The seed has already been planted. He whispered with a dying laugh. This world will only become more and more interesting. The wounded Chen Xiao prepared to leave when Su Rui suddenly appeared. If you walk out like that, you will not survive long enough to reach home. Chen Xiao watched her warily. You are Lin Guodong's assistant? Su Rui raised a vial. Do not be nervous. I mean you no harm. This is a restorative solution. It can stop bleeding rapidly and stabilize your injuries. The medicine is safe. If you do not use it, the wound will become infected very quickly. Chen Xiao asked, why should I trust you? Lin Guodong has just died, and you immediately appear carrying medicine. That is remarkably convenient. Su Rui did not argue. It is natural for you not to trust me. However, there are certain things you may need. If you still have the strength, follow me. She led Chen Xiao into a concealed warehouse filled with drinking water, food, and survival supplies. Su Rui said, my teacher predicted long ago that the extreme heat would not subside. He prepared all of this for himself. He constantly spoke about sacrificing himself for science, but in truth, he feared death more than anyone. He no longer has any use for these things, and I am leaving this place as well. Take whatever you need. Consider it my apology to you on his behalf. Chen Xiao asked, you are leaving? Su Rui explained, at first, I applied to become my teacher's graduate student because he had once been a genuine scientist in my eyes. Only recently did I learn that he was conducting experiments on human beings. Although I did not participate directly, I still became an accomplice. I will go to the research institute in the north and continue the research that should be done. If I survive, I want to develop a genuine antidote, not a poison that creates monsters. Chen Xiao collected sun protective clothing, antibiotics, and water purification tablets. Lin Guodong certainly knew how to prepare for himself. Unfortunately for him, all of it belongs to me now, but there was nothing more to gain by leaving the facility intact. Flames climbed the tanks and equipment as Chen Xiao, wounded and exhausted, turned toward the exit. The Global Meteorological Agency issued another red alert. Temperatures in many parts of the world had exceeded 58 degrees Celsius. The permafrost was melting on a massive scale, releasing enormous amounts of methane, and the greenhouse effect had entered an irreversible vicious cycle. Survivors collapsed in the streets under the unbearable heat, able to say only one thing: when will this nightmare finally end? Chen Xiao turned off the news, and the system immediately displayed a warning: insufficient negative emotion points. Spatial storage cannot be upgraded. His supplies were enough for the time being, but the conditions outside would only grow harsher. Looking at the mountain of bottled water inside his storage space, Chen Xiao quickly came up with an idea. Water is hard currency now. Perfect time to collect an emotion tax. He sent Mutsan a message. Brother, how are the water sales going? Need me to bring you another shipment? Mutsan replied almost instantly. Chen Xiao, you are a lifesaver. We are running short right now. I will come find you tonight. Bring some stock. That night, the two of them chose a secluded alley as the trading location. Mutsang patted his chest. This place is hidden enough. The buyer arrived carrying a bundle of supplies. I am here to trade for water. I need it urgently. How much can I get? Chen Xiao glanced over the goods. Normally, this would be worth 2 bottles. The buyer had just started to relax when Chen Xiao continued. But do I look like a reasonable person? 1 bottle. The buyer could only squeeze out one word. You! Chen Xiao smiled. Oh, angry already? Then the price just went up. 1 bottle. But first you have to say, thank you, Brother Xiao. You are truly a great philanthropist. The system immediately collected 33 points of anger. The buyer held it in for a long time before finally forcing the words through clenched teeth. Thank you, Brother Xiao. You are truly a great philanthropist. Chen Xiao handed him the water. Good boy. Bring more supplies next time, and maybe I will let you trade for half a bottle. The system collected another 79 points of powerless rage. Chen Xiao turned to leave and happened to run into Uncle Wang carrying 2 bottles of water out the door. Uncle Wang, why are you still awake so late? Uncle Wang said. Luyun lives alone with a child in the neighboring community. The child has heat stroke. The water and electricity keep cutting out, and she cannot manage everything by herself, so I am taking them some water. Chen Xiao reminded him, water is becoming more precious by the day. You should take care of yourself first. Uncle Wang waved a hand. I know, but I am old and have lived long enough. I cannot stand by while a child suffers. Luyun accepted the 2 bottles with a grateful expression. Brother Wang, you are a living saint. Thank you so much. Uncle Wang said. Give it to the child quickly. But the moment Uncle Wang turned away, Luyun's expression changed. That old fool took forever and only brought 2 bottles. Is he not ashamed? Tomorrow I need to cry a little harder. Maybe I can trick him into bringing me a whole case. Immediately afterward, Luyun took one of the bottles and knocked on another door. A bespectacled man opened it. Aunt Yun, Yun, what brings you here so late? Lu Yun handed him the bottle. Mr. Zhao, this is today's offering. The next day, several of Chen Zhao's water trades were suddenly cancelled one after another. Mutsang stared at his phone. Something is wrong. That is already the third one. As soon as he finished speaking, a group of people wearing pure water church armbands blocked their path. The leader pointed at Chen Zhao. You should not be selling water privately. Your sins are grave. Chen Zhao looked at them. Bottled water is an evil object? Then what do you people drink? Urine? One believer shouted. You have never witnessed Lord Zhao Qian perform a miracle, so your ignorance is understandable. Once you see Lord Zhao Qian with your own eyes, you will kneel before him with the same devotion as the rest of us. Chen Zhao unscrewed the cap and took a long drink. Refreshing. The believers cursed in fury. You are even letting it spill. You are beyond salvation. Retribution will find you. Another one yelled, unclean sinner. The system continuously absorbed their anger, disgust, and helplessness. Looking at the believers whose eyes had already turned red from thirst, Chen Zhao suddenly placed the water in front of them. Whoever curses Zhao Qian and calls him a son of a bitch gets a whole jug of water. The leader roared, bastard, shut your mouth. But someone in the crowd could no longer endure it and shouted, Zhao Qian is a son of a bitch. The other believers immediately lunged at him. Hold him down. The man struggled desperately. I need water. I cannot take it anymore. The group began fighting each other on the spot over the water. Chen Zhao did not interfere because he had already noticed the flyer the Pure Water Church had left behind. The apocalypse is coming. The Pure Water Church will save the world. Following the address on the flyer, Chen Zhao arrived at an abandoned church. Inside, Zhao Qian was performing a miracle in front of all his followers. A woman lay motionless on the floor. Zhao Qian poured so-called holy water over her, and she soon opened her eyes again. The followers cheered in unison. Lord Zhao Qian. The revived woman knelt on the floor. Thank you, Lord Zhao Qian. Please allow me to remain by your side and serve you. Zhao Qian spread his arms. This heat wave is divine punishment. Only those who accept purification can receive salvation. His eyes swept across the kneeling believers. God will remember every offering. Hand over your unclean water, and I will purify it for you. Chen Zhao walked toward the church entrance, but one of the believers immediately recognized him. Chen Zhao, what are you doing here? Another believer blocked his path. The unclean are forbidden from entering. Chen Zhao brought his palms together and lowered his head. I was blind. It is getting hotter outside, and there is less and less water. No one knows what this world will become. I am terrified. I do not want to die like a dog. He raised his voice toward Zhao Qian. God, save me. I am willing to hand over all these filthy things. Large water jugs appeared around Chen Zhao. The believers stared at them in shock. So much water. Zhao Qian looked down at him. You are Chen Zhao, correct? I have already heard about you. Your sins run deep. However, since you are willing to turn over a new leaf, God will naturally give a lost lamb another chance. Chen Zhao had already seen through the entire operation. Zhao Qian collected the believers' water, then returned only the minimum amount needed to keep them alive and called it holy water. At that rate, whether those people could survive another month was impossible to say. Chen Zhao remained on his knees. Thank you, Lord Zhao Qian. A man suddenly rushed over. Aunt Yun, something is wrong. Your granddaughter collapsed. Her face has turned purple. It looks like heat stroke. Lu Yun froze. How could that happen? She was perfectly fine during the day. I even gave her holy water. Chen Zhao's expression darkened. Perfectly fine during the day? So the story about your granddaughter suffering from heat stroke was only a lie to trick Uncle Wang out of his water. Lu Yun dropped to her knees in front of Zhao Qian. Lord Zhao Qian, please save the child. I am willing to double my offering. Zhao Qian looked at her coldly. Why are you panicking? God is not your nanny. If the holy water did not work, there is only one explanation. You are not devout enough. Lu Yun shook her head. No, that is impossible. I already. Zhao Qian cut her off. Stop arguing. Reflect on yourself. Tomorrow at noon, I will perform a true miracle. Every one of you will witness it with your own eyes. The believers bowed together. Thank you, Lord Zhao Qian. After the gathering, a believer handed Chen Zhao an armband. Put this on. From today onward, you are a member of the Pure Water Church. Lord Zhao Qian is overlooking your past because you donated so much water. Do not forget your sins. Chen Zhao fastened the armband around his arm. What they did not know was that Chen Zhao had already left a spatial marker on the water. After the crowd dispersed, he followed the trail and found the church's hidden warehouse. The warehouse was filled with bottled water and food offered by the believers. Chen Zhao looked over the stockpile and sneered inwardly. There had never been any so-called purified holy water. Zhao Qian had simply hidden everything here for himself. Voices came from deeper inside the warehouse. Chen Zhao slipped behind a shelf and watched in silence. Zhao Qian was standing with the same woman who had played the revived believer during the church's earlier miracle. The woman began uneasily. Brother Zhao. Zhao Qian slapped her across the face before she could finish. He snapped. I told you to play an unconscious patient, yet you could not even make the performance convincing. Who would believe a miracle acted that badly? Holding her cheek, the woman apologized. I'm sorry. Using that ability consumes too much stamina. Zhao Qian looked down at her coldly. Useless. Do not forget who dragged you out of hell. She lowered her head. Yes, Brother Zhao. Hidden among the shelves, Chen Zhao finally understood. The woman, not Zhao Qian, was the real awakened one. A faint smile appeared on his face. So that is how it works. I just thought of something interesting. That night, night, Ailing lay burning with fever in her bedroom. A spatial ripple opened beside the bed, and Chen Xiao stepped into the room without making a sound. He tossed several bottles of electrolyte drink onto the mattress beside her. Ailing forced her eyes open. "Who are you?" Chen Xiao answered. "Finish these. Survive tonight, and you will naturally find out." At noon the next day, Zhao Qian gathered the believers on the church terrace for another public miracle. Under the blazing sun, he sat cross-legged in full view of the crowd and declared, "Witness it. As long as God is in your heart, even the sun's scorching heat cannot harm God's messenger in the slightest." The believers stared in amazement. Zhao Qian remained seated beneath the direct sunlight as though he could not feel the heat at all. Off to one side, Lin Jing secretly activated her ability. Heat flowed out of Zhao Qian's body while no one in the crowd noticed what she was doing. Chen Xiao watched from among the believers. Zhao Qian was using an awakened person's power to deceive everyone again. He raised a hand and formed an invisible spatial barrier between Lin Jing and Zhao Qian. Chen Xiao thought, "I do not know exactly what your ability is, but what happens if it is blocked by space?" Lin Jing's expression changed at once. "Someone is stopping me from using my ability on Brother Zhao." Sweat immediately began to bead across Zhao Qian's face. He hissed, "What are you doing?" Lin Jing replied in a low voice, "Someone is interfering from the shadows. I cannot use my ability on you from here." Zhao Qian did not care about her condition. "Come to my side. No matter what happens, this miracle must be completed." Lin Jing looked at the sun-scorched terrace. In her current state, she knew she would not last even 3 minutes if she stepped into that heat. Then she noticed Chen Xiao standing inside the crowd. "It is him." Zhao Qian continued shouting, "What are you waiting for? Come here and keep going." A folded note suddenly fluttered to Lin Jing's feet. It read, "I will kill Zhao Qian and take his place as the person controlling this area. It is not too late to stand on my side." Lin Jing stared at the message for a moment, then made her choice. She walked away from Zhao Qian and stopped behind Chen Xiao instead. Zhao Qian glared at her. "Useless trash. Where are you going?" Chen Xiao glanced back as Lin Jing held onto him. "Oh, your attitude changed that quickly?" Lin Jing said. "My ability is called forced heat dissipation." She explained, "It accelerates the transfer of heat from inside a target's body to the surface." Chen Xiao gave a quiet laugh. "A very convenient ability." Lin Jing continued, "But it has another use. I can force heat to dissipate only from a target's head and heart. If the heat there is extracted in an instant, the blood supply to the brain drops sharply." Without warning, Lin Jing focused that second use on Chen Xiao. His balance faltered and his vision swam. "What? Damn, my head is spinning." Memories from before the ceremony flashed through Lin Jing's mind. During the day, she had crouched in an alley with a dying cat in her arms. "Do not die. Do not die, Xiaomi." The cat, which had already gone limp, suddenly opened its eyes and began breathing again. A man leaned out of a nearby window and shouted, "Lin Jing, get back here." He dragged her into the apartment and threw her to the floor. The man grabbed her by the hair. "I worked myself to the bone raising you this big. It is time for you to repay me." He snarled, "You are going to sleep with men and bring water back for me." Lin Jing struggled beneath his hand. "Let go of me." The door opened and Zhao Qian entered with several armed men. Looking at the scene, Zhao Qian said, "How disgusting." One of his men killed Lin Jing's abuser on the spot. Zhao Qian crouched in front of her. "I saw it. The cat you were holding just came back to life." He smiled and extended a hand. "That is God's blessing. Come with me. Together, we will save more living beings." Back in the present, Lin Jing's attack had left Chen Xiao unsteady long enough for Zhao Qian's men to force him onto his knees. They pressed him down and shouted, "Kneel properly. Do not disrespect Lord Zhao Qian." Chen Xiao raised his eyes. Spatial blades flashed across the terrace. The men restraining him were cut down before they could react. The believers recoiled in terror. "A demon! He is a demon!" Chen Xiao looked at the bodies. A demon? These men were criminals long before the apocalypse. Robbery, arson, extortion, they did all of it. He turned his gaze toward the crowd. "You are willing to trust people like this. You brought this on yourselves." Mu-san stepped forward and handed him a report. "This is the information we collected on Zhao Qian and his group." Luyan stared at the evidence and shook her head. "No, impossible." Ailing appeared from behind Chen Xiao. "You are lying." Luyan's eyes widened when she saw the child alive. "Ailing, you are all right." She immediately seized on the sight as proof of her faith. "See, this man is talking nonsense." Luyan cried, "I prayed devoutly all night, and my granddaughter recovered completely. This is Lord Zhao Qian's miracle." Several believers shouted in agreement. "Exactly. Hurry and deal with this demon." Ailing looked at them in disbelief. "Are all of you seriously ill in the head?" She pointed at Chen Xiao. "The person who saved me was not the false god you worship. It was this big brother. He gave me electrolyte drinks and saved my life. Otherwise, I would already have died miserably in bed because of your superstition." The crowd fell silent and began backing away. Lin Jing stared at Ailing, stunned as the truth behind Zhao Qian's miracles collapsed in front of everyone. Zhao Qian suddenly knocked Lin Jing to the ground. He drew a gun and aimed at her. "Useless trash. You could not even keep the miracle going." The gun fired. The bullet stopped inside a rotating spatial ring before it could reach Lin Jing. Zhao Qian's face changed. He had aimed correctly, yet the shot had never touched her. Chen Xiao plucked the bullet out of the air. "This could sell for quite a bit. I will keep it." Zhao Qian stared at him. "So you are an awakened one. You used the same trick to block that useless woman's ability just now, did you not?" His expression twisted. twisted. It is time to end this farce. He produced a syringe and drove the needle into his own shoulder. Chen Xiao recognized it immediately. That is one of Lin Guodong's drugs. Zhao Qian's muscles swelled as the drug took effect. He laughed. This immunity enhancer cost me a fortune. Go to hell. His speed increased explosively, and he charged across the terrace. Zhao Qian grinned. Looks like you are not good at dealing with fast opponents. He seized Chen Xiao and hurled both of them over the terrace railing. Let us go to hell together. As they fell, Zhao Qian screamed, do you know how long I waited for this day? Someone like me, born in the countryside and admitted to an elite university only because I was good at taking exams, could never compete with those academic elites. My research was stolen. My youth was wasted. This world never gave me a chance to turn my life around. Then the high-temperature apocalypse came, and everything was reshuffled. Zhao Qian tightened his grip. You destroyed all of it. You deserve to die. Chen Xiao answered. Too noisy. The one who deserves to die is you. A system prompt flashed before him. Ability unlocked. Spatial leap. Space folded around the two men. Zhao Qian vanished from Chen Xiao's grasp and reappeared high above the plaza. Zhao Qian looked down in horror. What? He plummeted to the ground and died on impact. Suspended above the plaza by his spatial power, Chen Xiao looked down at the body. Poor fool. If you need someone to blame, blame yourself for meeting me. Even after witnessing everything, the remaining believers refused to accept the truth. They pointed at Chen Xiao and shouted, witchcraft. He is a demon. Chen Xiao ignored them and walked over to Lin Jing, who was lying unconscious on the terrace. After checking her, he thought, no bleeding. She only fainted because her strength ran out and the shock overwhelmed her. He opened his storage space and brought out bottled water for her. A believer stepped in front of him. You are not allowed to save her. She is a demon too. Lu Yun pointed at Lin Jing. If she had not appeared, Lord Zhao Qian would not have. That vile woman must have bewitched him. Chen Zhao's eyes turned cold. I advise you not to block my way. An older believer shouted. Still stubborn and unrepentant? Fine, we will purify your soul with a hymn. The believers surrounded Chen Xiao and the unconscious Lin Jing, joined hands, and formed a circle. They began to sing, listen to us. Thank God, because God nourishes the earth. Thank God, because God makes the world more beautiful. Chen Xiao stood in the middle of the circle, visibly speechless at the spectacle. Then he let a trace of killing intent spill out. The oppressive aura swallowed the terrace, and the singing stopped at once. Lin Jing slowly opened her eyes. Chen Xiao held a bottle in front of her. You are very weak right now. If you want to live, drink this. Lin Jing took the water and asked anxiously, where is brother Zhao? Chen Xiao replied, dead. He added, what? Do you want to see him one last time? At that moment, Ailing suddenly screamed, Grandma. Lu Yun stood at a great height, completely broken. It was all fake. There was never any God. Then what am I supposed to rely on? The next second, she threw herself over the edge. Ailing rushed to the railing and could only watch her grandmother fall. Lin Jing held Ailing in her arms. Ailing wiped away her tears. She refused to believe Uncle Chen and chose to believe those foolish people instead. She gave up her own life, and she abandoned me too. I will not become like her. I will keep living. Lin Jing said quietly, I always treated Zhao Qian as a savior, but he only wanted to use me and force me to do terrible things. He needed my ability, yet he was also afraid of me and jealous of me. The water left by the Pure Water Church was redistributed to the residents, and the supplies purchased with the offerings were used to compensate the families of the dead. The residents immediately agreed. Really? Thank you, Lord Chen Xiao. But before receiving any water, every resident had to sign a property transfer agreement. Mutsan looked at the stack of contracts. You are not seriously planning to take over the entire building, are you? Chen Xiao put the agreements away. Of course I am. One safe house floor is not enough. I am turning the entire building into an apocalyptic fortress. Chen Xiao remembered that the real peak of the disaster had not yet arrived. In the future, the heat would become even more violent, steel reinforcement would soften, and high-rise buildings would collapse one after another. That made the full conversion of the residential building unavoidable. The residents already trusted him, and after weighing the risks, they agreed to move into the floors he assigned. The news soon announced that the extreme heat, which had lasted for 30 days, was expected to ease. The report warned that the relief would only be temporary and that temperatures could rebound at any moment. People poured back onto the streets as though they had not breathed freely in a year. Chen Xiao decided that the brief cooling period was the only chance to complete the building work. Before dealing with the construction, he noticed electricity flashing from Ailing's fingertip. She had awakened an electrical ability and had casually used it to kill an unusually large mosquito. Chen Xiao immediately saw the value of her power. Diesel generators consumed too much fuel, while ordinary solar panels lost efficiency in extreme heat. A resident who could generate electricity would be indispensable. Ailing announced that she was going to see how Lin Jing's move was progressing. Chen Xiao followed, reasoning that Lin Jing's forced heat dissipation ability was equally precious in a world ruled by high temperatures. He entered Lin Jing's new room at the wrong moment and found her just out of the shower. Lin Jing screamed that he was a pervert. Chen Xiao protested that she had not locked the door, and she shot back that he had not even given her a key yet. Once the misunderstanding passed, Lin Jing said, I know you want to use my ability, but at least, while fighting for your own interests, you still protect a line you refuse to cross. Chen Xiao gave her no promise. No one can say what the future will become. Lin Jing then took responsibility for redistributing the water previously seized by the Pure Water Church. For her, returning those resources to the residents was a form of atonement. The residents settled onto their assigned floors. Air conditioning returned to several rooms, but the building's internal circuits, cooling system, and power network still required extensive reconstruction. As the heat temporarily receded, criminals began moving across provincial lines. A group arrived in Luo City after hearing that the area had plenty of water and that one man controlled an entire building. One gang member said, "Boss, I heard there's plenty of water around here, and one building has been occupied by a single man." The gray-haired leader said, "What kind of impressive person could there be in a small place like Luo City? Why think so much? Just do it." Chen Xiao immediately knocked the group down. That unnatural calm was exactly what caught the attention of the government's temporary command center. At the time, conflict was breaking out across most of Luo City. Our neighborhood alone remained so orderly that it hardly felt like part of the apocalypse. At first, the command center assumed the local gangs had simply finished carving up their territories, but one officer felt that the situation was not that simple. The heat had not only changed the city, it was changing human beings as well. The military had already encountered a small number of people with abnormal abilities, and for the time being, they referred to the phenomenon as mutation. To confirm what was happening with me, they pulled the surveillance footage from the day of the Clearwater Society Church incident. In the recording, I clearly fell from a great height, only to vanish in midair. In the next clip, I reappeared on the rooftop without a single injury. The moment the commanding officer saw it, he ordered an investigation. Late that night, a fully armed special operations team quietly approached the building. They bypassed the exterior power grid and cracked the access control system, convinced that no one had noticed them. But the moment they entered the corridor, they ran into Ailing, who had wandered out in the middle of the night. Rubbing her eyes, Ailing wondered whether she had played too many games and started hallucinating. The soldiers saw only a little girl, paid her no attention, and moved to restrain her before continuing their search. The next second, electricity exploded through the corridor. Ailing raised one hand and shocked the entire team to the floor, leaving them convulsing as she complained. "Breaking into someone's home in the middle of the night. Have you people never heard of manners?" Only after every soldier had lost the ability to move did she belatedly begin to worry that attacking military personnel might get her arrested. I arrived after hearing the commotion. Looking at the soldiers scattered across the floor, I could only ask helplessly, "Why are you still wandering around instead of going back to your room at this hour?" Ailing pointed at the men on the ground and whispered, "I think we're in trouble." One look at their equipment told me that this was no ordinary gang. 30 minutes after the special operations team lost contact, the real trouble arrived. Helicopters hovered over the roof. Armored vehicles and tanks sealed off the entire residential complex, their weapons aimed directly at our building. Through loudspeakers, the military issued a final ultimatum: release the captured personnel immediately, or they would intervene by force. Mutsang woke to the commotion and leaned out of the window. The sight outside nearly made him wonder whether he was still dreaming. Liuyu and the others rushed out as well, anxiously asking what had happened. I gave them only one instruction: everyone stays in their rooms. I'll handle this. Then I walked out of the building alone and casually threw the soldiers Ailing had knocked unconscious back toward the military line. Looking at the officer in command, I asked, "Your men broke into my home in the middle of the night. Aren't you going to explain yourselves?" He did not deny it. Instead, he told me they had already reviewed the church footage and confirmed that I possessed some kind of superhuman ability. From their perspective, such power was extraordinarily rare. With the world continuing to deteriorate, the military believed it had to understand and study my ability. I nearly laughed. "Study me? You mean lock me inside a laboratory?" I refused outright, but the officer replied coldly, "I'm not asking for your opinion. I'm informing you." The instant he finished speaking, the surrounding soldiers opened fire. A dense storm of bullets flew toward me, only to stop less than half a meter from my body, frozen in midair as though an invisible wall had caught them. Every soldier stared in shock. I raised one hand, pulled every bullet into my spatial storage, and sent them back toward the military position. Explosions tore through the residential complex, flames erupting beside the armored vehicles. Looking at the officer's bloodless face, I warned him, "This time, I aimed at your equipment. Next time, I may aim at people." The military finally understood that conventional firepower was useless against me. The commanding officer had no choice but to admit defeat, though he still did not withdraw. He told me the meteorological department had completed its latest report. The previous heat wave had only been the beginning, and the next disaster would be far worse. I answered calmly, "I already knew that." He stared at me and said that humanity's survival might depend on people with abilities like mine, but I had never intended to become anyone's savior. In my previous life, I had seen people sell their own families for half a bottle of water. I had also seen so-called good people end up butchered and eaten. A few speeches about duty and righteousness would never convince me to surrender my life, or the lives of those around me. "I'm not some great hero," I told him, "and I have no interest in saving every stranger in the world." The officer was about to continue persuading me when I changed the subject. "However, if you're willing to make a deal, I might consider cooperating." He immediately asked for my terms. I looked up at the entire building behind me and said each word clearly. "I want you to use military technology and resources resources to turn this place into a real doomsday fortress. The officer clearly had not expected me to negotiate at a time like this, but compared with the value of my spatial ability, the cost of modifying a single building was insignificant, and so we reached a temporary agreement. Early the next morning, a convoy of military vehicles entered the residential complex. Engineers, construction crews, and equipment poured into the site. The officer in charge explained that some core systems involved classified military technology and could not be manufactured in a civilian neighborhood. They would have to be prefabricated at the base and transported here for assembly. I nodded. That was fine with me. Lin Jing stood behind me holding a stack of documents. The project supervisor could not help asking who she was. I introduced her casually. Don't worry about her. She normally lives here. Today, she's temporarily acting as my secretary. At the supervisor's command, the Doomsday Fortress project officially began. The first installation was a high-strength solar array. The military-grade panels were more than 10 times as durable as ordinary products. Their storage efficiency and thermal energy conversion rate were also 3 times higher than civilian systems. Even under continuous extreme sunlight, they could maintain stable operation. I rubbed my chin and told Lin Jing to record the specifications. This solved the problem of normal solar panels rapidly failing under extreme heat. The second installation was a military backup generator system. Even if prolonged cloud cover prevented the solar array from producing power, the generators could independently maintain the building's essential operations. After the high-strength solar array and backup generators were installed, the third stage officially began, covering the building's exterior walls with a composite protective layer. The material was bullet-resistant, fire-resistant, and thermally insulated. The project supervisor confidently promised that ordinary firearms and incendiary attacks would be useless against it. Even concentrated heavy firepower would have difficulty breaching the walls in a short time. The fourth stage was reinforcing the access control and blast protection systems. The original apartment entrance was removed in its entirety and replaced with a military-grade alloy gate. The gate could withstand explosive impacts and contained an automatic locking mechanism. The moment the system detected a forced breach, the entire building would enter lockdown. The fifth stage was an automated identification and defense system. Surveillance equipment was installed throughout the corridors, stairwells, exterior walls, and common areas. The system could distinguish residents from strangers, and any unauthorized intruder would trigger a response based on the assessed threat level. The sixth stage was an independent satellite communications module. Even if every ground station failed and the external network went completely offline, we would still be able to obtain weather, disaster, and military intelligence through satellite links. As the satellite dish was lifted onto the roof, the nearby residents stared in disbelief. Some said this was no longer an apartment building at all, but a military fortress hidden inside a residential neighborhood. The children clapped excitedly, convinced that everything before them felt like a dream. I knew better. When the next wave of extreme heat truly arrived, every one of these seemingly excessive systems would become a lifesaver. At the same time, the military laboratory completed its preliminary analysis of my physical data. My body temperature, heart rate, and cellular activity were all clearly abnormal. The researchers discovered that my body had not simply become stronger, it was continuously adapting to the external environment. Solar activity was intensifying abnormally, while unexplained magnetic disturbances had appeared near Earth. These unknown forms of energy were affecting every living organism. Under extreme environmental stress, a small number of humans were undergoing adaptive mutations. The military called this phenomenon ability awakening. The greater problem was that the process had only just begun. The researchers predicted that humans would not be the only organisms to mutate. Animals, plants, and even certain microorganisms could develop entirely new forms. After hearing the report, the officer investigating me turned and asked why I showed neither surprise nor fear after learning that my body had changed. Naturally, I could not tell him that I had already lived through the apocalypse once, so I replied casually, "After all, I'm not the only awakened human." That answer immediately put him on alert. He asked whether I had encountered other awakened people. I did not hide the truth. I told him that a group calling itself the Ark had approached me before. The organization appeared to be searching everywhere for people with abilities and inviting them to become so-called companions. I had no interest in joining them and rejected the invitation on the spot. The officer's expression darkened. The existence of a non-military organization systematically gathering awakened people was obviously far more dangerous than the appearance of a few isolated ability users. A female analyst immediately accessed my recent surveillance footage. She soon noticed a familiar figure in the recordings. The man had long hair, dressed casually, and frequently entered and left the building with me. Yet when she opened the military's internal files, the man in the photograph had short hair, wore a uniform, and carried a cold, disciplined expression. He looked completely different from the person he had become. The name on the file was Wan Anchao. His status consisted of only 2 lines: military fugitive, high-risk missing target. Once the examination ended, I was preparing to leave the laboratory when the officer suddenly received a call and stopped me. He handed me Wan Anchao's file and asked whether I recognized the man. One glance at the photograph was enough. It was Moot-san, but both his appearance and his bearing in the photo were completely different from the unserious, easygoing arms dealer I knew. The officer stopped circling around the issue and told me directly that Wang Anchao was a fugitive wanted by the military. According to the evidence, he had been living inside my building. If I surrendered him, the other residents and my friends would not be implicated. The military would handle everything else. I responded with a single question. Do you really think that's possible? Moot-san's past might be complicated, but once he had moved into my territory, he was one of mine. I would not hand over someone beside me just because the other party invoked orders from above. The officer's attitude hardened as well. He said he did not want to use force, but arresting Wang Anchao was a mission that had to be completed. If I refused to cooperate, I would not leave the base that day. The moment he finished speaking, the soldiers around us closed in. I looked at them and smiled helplessly. Looks like the negotiations have failed. A black spatial vortex opened behind me. I stepped backward into it and vanished from the laboratory in an instant. The soldiers grabbed nothing but air. Furious, the officer immediately ordered all work on Chenjiao's fortress suspended. He mobilized every available military unit in the surrounding area, intending both to capture me and retrieve the fugitive Wang Anchao. When the order reached the residential complex, the previously busy construction site fell silent. The residents were still wondering what had happened when military assault teams began forcing their way into the building. They shattered windows and attempted to enter from the upper floors, only to trigger the newly installed automated defense system. The system detected structural damage and immediately sealed every passage. Electrical currents surged through the window frames and metal supports. The soldiers at the front had not even found their footing before they were thrown into violent convulsions. The residents inside were terrified by the explosions and crashing sounds. Some discovered that their windows had locked completely. The system displayed only a cold message: defense mechanism activated. Remain in your room and await further instructions. Old Wang took the child into a room and hid. He could not understand why the soldiers who had been helping renovate their homes only minutes earlier were suddenly attacking them. The girl immediately realized that something must have happened to me. Just as they prepared for another assault, I returned through a spatial passage. When the residents upstairs recognized me, they shouted excitedly, "It's Brother Chenjiao." I looked over the troops surrounding the building, and my voice turned completely cold. "You attacked my neighborhood. Don't blame me for what happens next." The field commander knew the area was packed with civilians and could only order a temporary ceasefire, but the officer back at the base still refused to compromise. Over the communications channel, he warned that if I insisted on sheltering a fugitive, the military would no longer assist me. Every worker, material shipment, and piece of equipment involved in the reconstruction would be withdrawn immediately. In his view, without military support, I would never obtain enough military-grade material. When the next heat wave arrived, the building would collapse sooner or later. I jumped directly onto an armored vehicle, planted one foot on its turret, and asked, "You think I can't get those materials myself?" As soon as I spoke, enormous components began appearing out of thin air across the open ground. Energy storage systems, insulation modules, structural steel, and prefabricated units piled up like small mountains. Even the nearby residents could only stare. The officer recognized them as the core materials required for the fortress and went pale. I calmly explained that their military base happened to be near the hospital. I had passed by on my way back and taken the remaining components with me. "I'll take the materials myself. They're part of what I was promised. I'll handle the rest of the assembly on my own." Only then did the military truly understand how terrifying a spatial ability could be. It did not merely allow me to teleport. It let me ignore defensive lines and transport vast quantities of supplies directly. If the space continued expanding, I could potentially empty not only a single unit, but an entire military base. Suppressing his anger, the officer warned me again that the heat would continue escalating. The city would gradually collapse under fires, riots, and battles over resources. Foreign powers had already begun infiltrating the country, hoping to seize the nation's remaining strategic resources. To confront the crisis, the government was advancing an unprecedented mega-project, the Skyvault Project. The Skyvault Project involved constructing sealed residential zones deep beneath cities, protected by layer after layer of thermal insulation. In the future, humanity would be forced underground. People would see the sky and sun only through specialized artificial structures. They would no longer be able to breathe the outside air or allow their bodies to come into direct contact with sunlight. The entire population would live inside underground cities, relying on independent closed-loop systems to escape the worsening surface environment. The scale of the project was enormous, and almost no time remained. The officer admitted that this was a race between humanity and the rising heat. No matter the cost, the country had no choice but to proceed. My spatial ability could drastically reduce construction time and the burden of transporting materials. If I agreed to participate, the entire project could advance at several times its current speed. I gave him only one indifferent reply. "Sounds troublesome." The officer froze. I reminded him that one moment he was sending people to arrest my friend, and the next he was asking me to help with his project. His attitude was far too self-serving. More importantly, they had driven armored vehicles into my home and pointed cannons at my building. That was hardly how someone should ask for cooperation. operation. I do not attack those who leave me alone, but if they refuse to withdraw, I would have no objection to overturning their entire force, and their base along with it. The officer finally stopped provoking me and ordered every unit to retreat immediately. As the vehicles departed, the residential complex became quiet again. Lin Jing stood by the window and carefully asked whether it was over. I did not answer, because I knew the real problem was still inside the building. That evening, Mutsan came to my room of his own accord. He already understood why the military had suddenly turned against us, and he knew his identity could no longer remain hidden. After I told him to sit down, he finally revealed his past. Mutsang's real name was Wan Anchao. He had once served in the military armaments department. During an investigation, he discovered that a batch of weapons had been diverted. These were not ordinary arms, but core technologies specifically developed for extreme heat environments. More seriously, the recipients of the equipment were connected to foreign powers. Mutsang intended to investigate the matter thoroughly, but before he could submit his findings, he himself was branded a deserter. The man hunting the criminals became the hunted man. To survive, he fled the base with part of the military stockpile, changed his appearance and identity, and spent the following years hiding throughout the black market. That was where the firearms he had sold me originally came from. Only then did I understand why the military classified him as a high-risk fugitive. I also realized that behind the so-called Skyvault project, there might be a struggle for power and resources far more complicated than the heat itself. Mutsang was about to continue when I suddenly turned toward the window. Someone was watching us. Downstairs, a woman with long silver-white hair silently passed through the residential perimeter. Neither the automatic alarm nor the identification system reacted to her presence. Her name was Alyssa. She was a foreign intelligence operative. The moment Mutsang saw her, his expression changed visibly. I simply opened the door and said calmly, "I'll go meet her." Under the night sky, Alyssa stopped in the center of the complex, and I walked toward her one step at a time. Alyssa stopped several meters in front of me and looked around the residential complex as though she had already memorized every corner of it. "Chen Xiao, we finally meet. Your alarm system is weaker than I expected." I walked all the way in without making a sound, and not even the neighborhood security guards noticed me. I asked her who she was. Instead of answering directly, she calmly recited my background. 22 years old, an orphan, born and raised in Luo City, expelled from high school, never graduated from university, and went straight into manual work. Then she finally introduced herself. "My name is Alyssa. Think of me as someone who understands you better than your own military does." That was enough to make my expression turn cold. In an age when civilization was collapsing by the day, learning everything about one ordinary person was not difficult. But Alyssa had not come merely to show off her intelligence network. She said she was not there to fight. In fact, she admired the shelter I had built. It was a clever design, but no private fortress could survive forever once the temperature continued rising. Then she mentioned the Skyvault project. According to her, the military had not told me the whole truth. The underground cities could never hold the entire population. Even if every available shelter were reserved for the country's own citizens, there still would not be enough space. When the project was completed, the real struggle would begin. The powerful would fight for the limited places underground. The wealthy, the influential, and those with useful abilities would receive priority. Ordinary people without resources or value would be abandoned first. The Skyvault project was not a plan to save everyone. It was a plan to decide which portion of humanity would be allowed to survive. I asked what any of that had to do with her coming to see me. Alyssa smiled and offered me an alliance with Country M. She claimed that only her country possessed the technology and resources necessary to preserve human civilization. She had come as a special envoy because she knew the military had already invited me to participate in the Skyvault project. Her terms were simple. Once I joined the project, I would secretly provide Country M with all relevant information, construction data, strategic resources, and technology. In return, they would give me anything I wanted: money, status, protection, and a guaranteed place in their future underground cities. She even leaned closer and added that the reward could include her. It sounded tempting. I admitted that much. Alyssa smiled, placed a hand against my chest, and suggested that we discuss the details in a private room that night. I knocked her hand away. I do not like being used as someone else's pawn. Her smile disappeared. A second later, a compact firearm appeared in her hand. She pulled the trigger without hesitation. Bullets tore through the air at point-blank range, but before they could touch me, a dark spatial vortex opened in front of my palm. Every round was swallowed and disappeared without leaving so much as a mark. I looked at her and asked, "That's it?" Alyssa was not surprised for long. A transparent scanning lens activated over one eye, recording the energy fluctuations around my body. She had never truly expected to persuade me. The negotiation had only been an excuse to force me to use my ability. Obtaining accurate data on my spatial power had been her real objective from the beginning, but the moment her device completed its scan, her expression changed. The internal space it detected was far larger than anything she had anticipated. She did not know that the church incident had supplied me with an enormous amount of fear, despair, panic, and grief. Thousands of believers had collapsed at once, and the negative emotion system had harvested everything. Those emotions had expanded my space to a completely different scale. Alyssa called it a beautiful ability. I told her I did not appreciate people spying on my secrets. Then I released the accumulated psychological pressure inside me. For an instant, Alyssa no longer saw an ordinary man standing in the courtyard. Behind me appeared an enormous mass of darkness covered in blood-red eyes and distorted mouths. The thing surged toward her with an overwhelming sense of hunger and malice. She knew it was not physically real, but the terror was strong enough to crush her nerves. Her scanner malfunctioned, her legs gave way, and she dropped to the ground clutching her head. Stealing other people's secrets is a bad habit, I told her. Alyssa cursed me, forced herself back to her feet, and escaped before I could decide whether to keep her. As she disappeared into the darkness, she said we would meet again. I watched her leave and understood that my ability had now been exposed to a foreign intelligence network. From that moment onward, the trouble surrounding me would only grow. The next stage of construction began soon afterward. The military delivered specialized drilling rigs, heavy reinforcement equipment, defensive modules, surveillance systems, satellite communication hardware, and materials that ordinary contractors had never even seen before. The workers stared at the machines in disbelief, but I told them not to ask questions and to install everything exactly according to my instructions. Layer by layer, the residential building was transformed. The outer structure was reinforced. The entrance was rebuilt with stronger blast-resistant doors. Identification systems were upgraded. Independent communications, power, filtration, and defensive functions were integrated into one network. When the final piece of equipment was installed, everyone stood outside and looked up at the completed structure. My doomsday fortress was finally finished. For the first time since my rebirth, I felt that I had constructed something capable of withstanding not only the heat, but also the people who would come from my resources. While we were celebrating, Alyssa returned to a luxurious mansion elsewhere in the city. She knelt in the entrance hall and reported that her mission had failed. The man listening to her sat behind a black marble table, his face hidden beneath a dark shadow. A black cat rested calmly in his arms. A blonde woman standing beside him showed no sympathy. I told you from the beginning, she said. A man like that cannot be persuaded. You should have killed him immediately. The hidden man disagreed. Although he was not from this country, he said he liked it very much. The people here were hardworking, intelligent, and resourceful. Chen Xiao was the same. That was precisely why I was dangerous. A talented person who refused to serve him was not merely an enemy. He was a future threat. The blonde woman suggested killing me outright. The man smiled from the darkness. Simply killing him would be far too merciful. I will give him a better death. Their next move came quickly. With logistics networks collapsing, supplies could no longer be delivered normally. Lin Jing left the fortress carrying a case of goods and went to complete an in-person exchange. She never reached the meeting point. Someone struck her from behind and dragged her away. When Lin Jing regained consciousness, she found herself inside an abandoned industrial building. Her wrists were tied above her head, and she was suspended from the ceiling. The blonde woman from the mansion stood in front of her. She looked Lin Jing up and down, made several insulting remarks, and asked whether she was my girlfriend. Lin Jing immediately understood that she had been captured because of me. The woman offered her a chance to live. All Lin Jing had to do was contact me and lure me out of the fortress. Once I entered their trap, she would be released. Lin Jing did not believe the offer. She mocked their plan as amateurish and warned them that I would never fall for it. More importantly, she carried a tracking device. If her movements or behavior became abnormal, I would know immediately. The blonde woman laughed. She had no intention of tricking me with a fake message. Her plan was simply to use Lin Jing's disappearance to force me out of the fortress. Once I left the defensive structure, her objective would already be achieved. Before that, she decided to let several men torment Lin Jing for entertainment. The men stepped forward. Lin Jing struggled and shouted for them to stop. Then the entire wall exploded inward. An armored military vehicle smashed through the building, sending concrete and metal flying across the warehouse. Soldiers stormed in from every direction. The commanding officer ordered everyone to freeze. The kidnappers were disarmed in seconds, and the blonde woman was captured before she could escape. Lin Jing stared at the soldiers in confusion and asked why the military had come for her. The officer explained that I had contacted them the previous day. Protecting every resident inside my building had been one of my conditions for cooperating with the Skyvault project. The military had been monitoring my people ever since. Once Lin Jing was abducted, they followed the signal directly to the warehouse. The officer contacted me through the fortress communication system and reported that the target had been secured and my companion was unharmed. Then he reminded me of our agreement. They would protect my people in exchange for my cooperation. I accepted, but only after repeating my own condition. I would assist them, but I would never submit to their control. The officer agreed. The deal was complete. My instincts had been correct. As hidden forces began moving against me, the people around me would inevitably become targets. But the military had now become one of my chess pieces. Meanwhile, inside a military transport vehicle, the blonde woman who had previously abducted Lin Jing sat in handcuffs among several other detainees. Her head lowered as memories of what had happened began resurfacing. Not long earlier, she had been staggering barefoot through the empty streets. Her clothes were torn, her body was covered in wounds, and she was so weak that she could barely remain standing. As her consciousness began to fade, several men appeared in front of her. "Who are you?" Realizing that something something was wrong. She tried to resist, but her exhausted body no longer had the strength. She was taken to a luxurious European-style mansion where several other captives had already been gathered. At the far end of the hall sat a mysterious man holding a black cat. To him, the terrified captives were nothing more than candidates for an experiment. After examining her, the mysterious man gave his verdict: qualified. She was then taken to a laboratory, restrained on a medical bed, and injected with an unknown experimental substance. The pain was unbearable, but instead of killing her, the injection awakened a strange power within her body. Do you really think these things can hold me? Her hands began to liquefy, followed by her arms and the rest of her body. Within seconds, she had transformed into flowing water, slipping effortlessly through the handcuffs before escaping from the facility. On the other side, the faucet begins to drip. The water gathers into the shape of a woman. Chen Xiao recognizes what she has become. Well, look at that. You're still alive. Chen Xiao releases spatial energy from his hand. The woman smiles. Chen Xiao, I know your spatial ability like the back of my hand. Today, I'll make the three of you die together. Her body turns completely into water. A massive torrent erupts toward Chen Xiao and Lin Jing. Chen Xiao raises a spatial defense in front of them. The water crashes against it, spreads around it, and continues forward. The torrent strikes Chen Xiao and knocks him down. Lin Jing rushes over to him. Chen Xiao, the woman reforms from the water nearby. She explains that the water is created by transforming her own body. Chen Xiao's space cannot contain living creatures, so it cannot directly contain her liquid body. Chen Xiao, you will definitely die today. Chen Xiao activates spatial cutting. A black spatial blade slices through the water and divides the woman's body. The separated water immediately joins together again. Her liquid form remains unharmed. Your attacks are useless against me after I've turned into water. She launches another torrent. Chen Xiao, you made me suffer. I want you buried with me. Chen Xiao places a spatial barrier around himself and Lin Jing. The water surrounds the barrier. Part of it begins seeping through. The liquid gathers around Chen Xiao's and Lin Jing's heads, forming separate spheres of water around them. I already told you, your little tricks are useless against me. This is my killing move. For an ordinary person, there is no way to escape. Because the water is part of her body, the attack is equivalent to direct physical contact. She says she has no reservations about using it against them. One of you is a cute young woman, and the other is my former boyfriend. The woman looks at Chen Xiao through the water. Can you feel the pain? The pain you're experiencing now isn't even 1/10 of what I suffered. She reminds him that he refused to take her with him and killed the powerful man who had protected her. Afterward, she was left on the streets and was repeatedly assaulted by vagrants at night. But I crawled back from hell. You made me transform into a true powerhouse. I should thank you. Still trapped inside the sphere of water, Chen Xiao answers her. Too much nonsense. Lin Jing activates forced heat dissipation. The temperature of the water surrounding her drops sharply. Ice begins forming along the woman's liquid body. What? Lin Jing speaks from inside the water sphere. Since this water is also part of your body, my ability will work on it. The freezing spreads farther through the connected water. The woman tells Lin Jing to stop. The water around Lin Jing's own head is freezing as well. Continuing could freeze her brain and cost her life. Lin Jing refuses. I'm not afraid. Because he's here. Chen Xiao uses spatial cutting. The frozen water surrounding Lin Jing's head is shattered, freeing her from the sphere. The woman is stunned. What? Aren't you afraid of damaging your woman's brain? Chen Xiao answers. We have our own tacit understanding. He addresses the woman by name. Lu Wanqing. This time, I'll personally send you on your way. Lin Jing has frozen Lu Wanqing's liquid body into solid ice, preventing it from flowing back together. Chen Xiao releases multiple spatial cuts. The frozen body is sliced into separate pieces. The attack destroys Lu Wanqing. Chen Xiao stands beside Lin Jing. It's over. Elsewhere, the mysterious man holding the black cat receives the result. Did she fail? A framed photograph of Chen Xiao stands beside him. The man smiles. It seems I'll have to get serious. Several powerful awakens stand behind him. Later, inside the mansion, the man eats while several of his followers stand nearby. He asks them a question. What do you think self-consciousness is? If every part of your body were replaced, leaving only your brain, would you still be you? If not, where did the original you go? The others do not answer. The man continues eating. Perhaps human beings have never possessed a true self. What people call consciousness is merely an illusion that has been programmed into them, and I have seen through that. He explains the conclusion he has reached. So I choose to obey desire. Only desire produces genuine pleasure. It is also the only way to confirm the existence of the self. Afterward, several awaken leave the mansion. One of them asks whether the others recognize the meat they had just eaten. They look toward the cook standing in the dark kitchen. One of them retches. The group decides not to remain there. Eliminating Chen Xiao is more important. At the art group's base, a bespectacled man warns Wenhu not to cause unnecessary trouble. Wenhu says he does not care. Anyone who provokes him will face the consequences. Even the most powerful local criminal gang cannot frighten him. The bespectacled man reminds him that he recently destroyed the underworld organization controlling Wenqing City. That organization had maintained a balance among the local forces. With the balance destroyed, the city may fall into greater chaos. However, the man decides to focus on a more important matter. The known awakened are divided into 4 classes: S, A, B, and C, including including Wenhu and the bespectacled man. Only 5 known people in China have reached S-class. Wenhu's actions therefore represent not only the art group but also the public image of the awakened. The man tells him to exercise restraint. Wenhu asks about Chen Xiao. Is he the reason you came to Luo City? The answer is that Chen Xiao does not belong within the established classification system. Most awakened abilities stabilize after being used several times. Once stabilized, their basic nature and limits can be identified. Chen Xiao is different. His power continues to evolve. There are signs that the evolution will continue. The bespectacled man believes Chen Xiao may already be in existence beyond S-class. Wenhu sees only 2 possible outcomes. Chen Xiao must either become their ally or be eliminated. The bespectacled man says Chen Xiao has not fully awakened yet. That makes the present moment their best opportunity to bring him into the art group. Wenhu reaches the opposite conclusion. Because Chen Xiao has not fully awakened, this is the best time to eliminate him. The man warns that doing so will only drive Chen Xiao to the opposing side. Wenhu refuses to change his mind. This world doesn't need uncertain variables. Before Chen Xiao fully awakens, I'll finish him. Old Chen could only watch Wenhu leave. How did things end up like this? Meanwhile, another group of awakened had already reached Luo City. Believing Chen Xiao was nearby, they shouted, "Chen Xiao, today is the day you die." But before they could find their target, one of them sensed a familiar kind of power. There's someone here with an ability similar to mine. The group turned and demanded, "Who are you?" Wenhu stepped forward. "Chen Xiao is my prey. You small fry shouldn't throw your lives away." The blonde fighter immediately lost his temper. "You're alone, yet you dare mouth off in front of all of us? We're the most successful awakened under the young master." The group charged together. "Bury this bastard." Wenhu simply raised his arm. "Against you people, I don't even need to activate my ability." A single burst of force sent the entire group flying, ending the battle before it had even begun. After clearing the obstruction, Wenhu arrived outside Chen Xiao's building. An elderly man watering the plants looked up. "Who are you looking for? Is Chen Xiao here?" "No, he went to the shopping street to buy something." Wenhu smiled. "I see. Thank you, sir. Take care of yourself." The old man watched him leave and muttered, "What a nice young man." But Wenhu had already made up his mind. If the old man had lied, he would come back and beat him into pulp. On the shopping street, Ailing immediately pointed at something she wanted. "I want that." Chen Xiao looked at her. "You said your electrical ability only works when you're happy, right?" "Yes." Chen Xiao folded his arms. "Children who lie get taken away by ghosts." Ailing protested. "I'm not lying." Lin Jing laughed. "Then let's buy her a little more." The three soon reached an amusement park that was still operating. The elderly attendant welcomed them warmly. "What a happy family of 3. Wouldn't you like to come in and play?" Chen Xiao hurriedly corrected him. "We're not a family." But Ailing had already spotted the Ferris wheel. "Wow, an amusement park. Dad, I want to ride the Ferris wheel." Chen Xiao immediately shouted, "Who are you calling Dad? Don't say that." Lin Jing asked the attendant, "Sir, why is the amusement park still open at a time like this?" The old man smiled. "Precisely because the world has become like this. People should enjoy themselves while they still can. This may be humanity's final chance to visit an amusement park." Ailing ran inside. "I'm going in first." Lin Jing turned to Chen Xiao. "Stay with Ailing. A child her age should be playing with other children, but there aren't any around. I'll search elsewhere for supplies." "All right." Chen Xiao followed Ailing toward the Ferris wheel while Lin Jing left the park alone. At the same time, Wenhu was searching the other side of the street. "Chen Xiao isn't here at all." "Old man, were you lying to me?" Then he noticed Lin Jing walking past. "That woman, she's the one intelligence identified beside Chen Xiao." Following that clue, Wenhu reached the amusement park. Chen Xiao and Ailing were already high above the ground inside a red gondola. Wenhu stood on a nearby rooftop and smiled. "I found you." He leapt toward the Ferris wheel while Ailing pressed against the window. "Wow, we're so high." Looking at the child beside Chen Xiao, Wenhu thought, she really is just a kid. Ailing suddenly noticed a figure approaching. Chen Xiao reacted immediately, pulling her close and raising a spatial shield. Wenhu smashed through the gondola window. Chen Xiao demanded, "Who are you?" "The man who came to kill you." Wenhu struck the barrier. "A mere defensive shield. What can it do against me?" The barrier cracked under the attack. Chen Xiao used instant movement to escape, but Ailing remained inside the gondola. Wenhu caught her by one ankle. "Chen Xiao, your instant movement ability can't move living creatures other than yourself, can it?" He held Ailing over the edge. "Either kill yourself now, or I'll throw this kid down. You only get 2 choices." Chen Xiao looked up at him. "Why are you so determined to kill me? We have no grievance against each other." Wenhu's reason was brutally simple. "I hate things that don't follow the rules, and I hate people who refuse to act according to common sense. You are both." Old Chen had told him that Chen Xiao might be an awakened beyond S-class. "Leaving someone like you alive puts me in a very bad mood. More importantly, you stand in the way of the art group's ideals." Chen Xiao's eyes sharpened. "Arc?" Wenhu finally revealed their objective. "Our organization intends to create a world ruled by the awakened. For that ideal, every thorn must be pulled out." Chen Xiao now understood the real purpose behind the art group. "So that's Arc's goal." "Chen Shishing, you've really outdone yourself." Wenhu gave him one final deadline. "I'll give you 30 more seconds. If you still refuse to choose, this kid dies." Ailing struggled desperately. "No, let me go, brother Chen Xiao." But Chen Xiao did not waver. "I already told you, I won't kill myself for someone else." Wenhu smiled. "So you've made your choice. You really are a cold-hearted man." He looked at the terrified girl. "Kid, Kid, you trusted the wrong person. Wenhu swung her through the air while Ailing screamed, "Let me go, you stupid musclehead." Purple electricity suddenly wrapped around her body. Wenhu raised an eyebrow. "So you're also an awakened. What a pity. In your next life, don't trust a bad man like him." Then he released her. Ailing plummeted from the Ferris wheel, but Chen Xiao was already moving. He opened a spatial passage beneath her and redirected a small amusement park aircraft into her path. Ailing landed across the cockpit and immediately grabbed hold. "What is this? This is so cool." Wenhu ignited his power. "Don't get cocky." As he launched his attack, Chen Xiao shouted, "Ailing, grab the control sticks and release your electricity." "Okay." Ailing gripped both controls, and purple currents flooded the machine. The harmless ride powered up and shot directly toward Wenhu. The aircraft collided with his attack, triggering a huge explosion above the amusement park. Ailing flew out through the smoke, laughing from the cockpit. "I did it. This is so much fun." Chen Xiao immediately stopped her. "Enough playing. Go home." As the aircraft disappeared, Wenhu stepped out of the smoke with blood covering one eye. Instead of retreating, he laughed. "Chen Xiao, you really are a man worthy of making me use my true strength." Back at the mansion, a subordinate reported the disastrous result. "Young master, every person we sent out has been annihilated." The man calmly raised his wineglass. "Is that so? Then the result is already obvious. Artificially created awakened do have their limits. Since that's the case, I no longer need them." After confirming the limits of artificial awakened, the young master took Alyssa into the hidden laboratory. Rows of cultivation chambers filled the room, each containing a human body altered by the organization. Alyssa had never seen this place before. "So this is the laboratory where you manufacture awakened." The young master stopped beside the control console. "These are what you call the successful products." "Young master, these people, anyone who fails to complete a mission is a failure. These people have no value." He pressed the control, activating one of the chambers without the slightest hesitation. To him, humanity had always followed the wrong path of evolution. Since forced awakening could not produce the perfect life form he wanted, he would abandon artificial selection entirely. "Let nature select the strong for us." The biochemical virus project was officially activated. The virus was an improved result based on Lin Guodong's research. It required neither drugs nor direct human modification. Once released, it would spread through the population and select those strong enough to survive absolute despair. Those survivors would become a new species. Afterward, brain-machine technology would control their minds, turning them into the most obedient army in existence. Alyssa could hardly believe what she was hearing. This was not a plan to save humanity. It was something no sane human being could have devised. She remembered the camera bullet she had once fired into Chen Zhao's storage space. What she saw there was not an ordinary ability, but an indescribable horror resembling the combined form of every negative emotion humanity possessed. Chen Zhao had already surpassed ordinary awakened. Perhaps only he could stop the madman standing before her. The young master turned to Alyssa. "Since the awakening project has failed, I'll leave the follow-up work to you. Kill the researcher responsible for this project. We no longer need him." "Understood." But Alyssa secretly took the researcher into the forest and let him go. "Run. Go as far away as possible and make sure no one recognizes you." The researcher fell to the ground. "I know. I expected this ending long ago." He pulled out a pistol. Alyssa's eyes widened. "What are you doing?" "Thank you for your kindness, but if my escape is exposed, you won't be the only one implicated. Mr. and Mrs. Lee will be dragged into this too. Their research is the true hope of this world." Alyssa tried to stop him, but he had already made his decision. The shot ended the conversation. Alyssa stared at him in silence. What a fool. She could not understand why every researcher she met was so stubborn. Back at the fortress, Ailing was sitting before the television with a controller. She won another round and raised her fist. "I won again. You said your parents suddenly disappeared. Have you still heard nothing?" Li Yu shook her head. "I've kept asking around, but I can't find anything." Chen Xiao remembered that both of her parents were scientific researchers. Their disappearance had always seemed strange, but the only clue left behind was a magazine found in their room, one with Benjamin on the cover. Li Yu looked at the magazine. "But my parents never read anything like this." Chen Xiao examined the cover. "Benjamin is the richest man in M country and owns several major technology companies. Could your parents' disappearance have something to do with him?" "That's impossible. He lives in M country. How could he have anything to do with my parents? My parents were only ordinary researchers." Li Yu lowered her head. "I don't even know whether they're alive or dead." At the same time, Alyssa stood before the imprisoned Lee couple. "There's something I need to tell you. Researcher Lin is dead." The couple froze. Xiao Lin had worked beside them for years. He had always been diligent, and his greatest wish was to buy his parents a house by the sea. Mr. Lee fought back his grief. "We'll deliver the research on time. Please keep your promise. Let us return home and reunite with our daughter." Alyssa asked them directly, "Do you want to live?" "Of course. Everything we've done is so we can leave this place alive." With the young master's personality, even if you finish the experiment, he may not release you. The couple stared at her. Alyssa continued, "I can take you away." Mr. Lee remained cautious. "Why should we trust you?" Before Alyssa could answer, the guards outside noticed something was wrong. Alyssa turned and eliminated them. She looked back at the couple. "Do you want to see your daughter again? Just answer me." "We'll go, but we must take our research with us." Their research was a small, radiant cube called the Angel's Heart. "This is humanity's only hope against the extreme heat. We can't leave it here." there. Then hurry. The moment they entered the experimental zone and removed the angel's heart, the base went into lockdown. Every exit was sealed, and armed personnel surrounded the laboratory. Alyssa pushed the couple behind cover. Stay here. She opened fire and brought down the first group, but one large guard continued advancing after taking repeated hits. Alyssa's attack tore away his clothing, revealing a mechanical body beneath. Mechanical modification? You replaced their entire bodies? More modified soldiers rose around her, their mechanical arms transforming into weapons. You're dead. Alyssa tightened her grip on her gun. Is this as far as I go? Mr. Lee quickly activated the angel's heart. Its energy interfered with the mechanical systems, disabling the soldier's arms. Alyssa seized the opening. Move! Now! She forced open the exit and drove the couple out of the base. The young master watched the escape through surveillance footage. Alyssa, you dared betray me, and you took the angel's heart. I'll make you pay. Alyssa drove at full speed while armed vehicles and helicopters pursued them. They've caught up. Hold tight. She looked at the Lee couple. Do you have anyone in the city you can rely on? No. Mr. Lee hesitated. We have a daughter in Luo City, but we've been gone for so long that we don't know whether she's safe. There's no time. What's her name? Li Yuyu. Alyssa immediately remembered the intelligence files. Li Yuyu was one of Chen Zhao's companions. Mr. Lee leaned forward. You know our daughter? Is she alright? I don't know her personally, but I know she's doing extremely well. Alyssa smiled faintly. Chen Zhao, it seems our connection still isn't over. The pursuers continued closing in. Mr. Lee looked back. If this continues, they'll surround us. Luo City is right ahead. Once we get inside, we'll have a chance. Alyssa drove straight through the military checkpoint. Vehicle ahead. Stop immediately for inspection. The soldiers recognized the couple in the back seat. They're the missing Lee scientists. Stop that vehicle. Alyssa continued forward. Mr. Lee asked, why don't we hand ourselves over to the military? They can protect us. The young master has people inside the military. Giving you to them may be more dangerous than keeping you with me. The checkpoint received another report. A private armed convoy was approaching behind Alyssa's vehicle. Captain Wu immediately ordered both groups stopped. Luo City was Chen Zhao's territory, and no suspicious force could be allowed inside. Meanwhile, everyone at the fortress had gathered around the dining table. Li Yuyu carried out the final dish. It's ready. The smell immediately caught everyone's attention. Ailing raised both hands. I'm starting. Wang Anzhao looked at the hot meal and nearly cried. I never thought we'd still be able to eat food like this. Li Yuyu smiled. This is how we were supposed to live. Then Wang Anzhao noticed the commotion outside. Something's happening. Chen Xiao picked up the binoculars and saw Alyssa driving through the city with unusual boldness. Behind her sat a middle-aged man and woman in white shirts. Li Yuyu took the binoculars and looked for herself. Her hands began trembling. Dad, Mom? Wang Anzhao stared at her. Those are your missing parents? Chen Xiao looked outside again. That's them, but they seem to be in danger. He opened a spatial passage. Consider this payment for your meal. Alyssa's vehicle stopped sharply. Chen Xiao appeared directly in front of it. Hand over that couple. Alyssa immediately jumped from the vehicle and ran toward him. Chen Xiao, thank goodness. I was looking for you. She threw her arms around him. I finally found you. Chen Xiao froze. What? Alyssa stepped back. Don't misunderstand. I'm not your enemy now. Mr. Lee hurried from the vehicle. You're Chen Xiao. Is Yuyu with you? Is she safe? Where is she? She's fine. She's staying with me. You'll be reunited soon. Before the couple could respond, military vehicles surrounded the street. Nobody move. Captain Wu looked at Alyssa and assumed she was the kidnapper. Mr. Lee immediately corrected him. Captain Wu, she didn't abduct us. She saved us. What? The hostile helicopters arrived at the same moment. Targets located. Recover the Lee couple and the angel's heart. The attackers opened fire. Chen Xiao looked up at one of the helicopters. That thing isn't bad. Leave one for me. A spatial opening appeared beneath the pilot, dropping him from the cockpit. Chen Xiao then opened a larger passage around the aircraft. I'll take this one. The helicopter vanished into his storage space. Captain Wu stared upward. The helicopter disappeared, so this is his ability. The remaining enemies were quickly eliminated. Once the street was secure, Li Yuyu ran outside. Dad, Mom. Her parents wrapped their arms around her. Yuyu, we finally came back. We're sorry. We made you wait so long. For years had passed since the Lee couple disappeared. The university student they remembered had already graduated. After bringing everyone into the fortress, Chen Xiao asked the question that mattered most. Who abducted you? A man called the young master. He forced us to use our experience at the Chinese Academy of Sciences to develop something for him. Alyssa crossed her arms. The young master was my former master. He's also the man your ex-girlfriend relied on. But he kept conducting inhuman experiments, so I betrayed him. Chen Xiao remembered the enemy from his previous life. The young master Alyssa described was most likely the person responsible for his death. This time, I have to eliminate him first. Wang Anzhao asked the Lee couple, so what exactly were you researching? Mr. Lee opened his hand. The small cube glowed with shifting colors. The angel's heart. It requires only a tiny amount of energy to lower the temperature across a large area. With enough of these devices, humanity can survive the high-temperature apocalypse. Chen Xiao studied the cube. This thing is that powerful. Can humanity really be saved by it? Mr. Lee adjusted his glasses. Theoretically, yes. The technology inside it should not exist in this era. Mrs. Lee continued. The original core theory came from Benjamin, the richest man in M country. Benjamin possessed enormous wealth, but he cared even more about humanity's future future. Long before the disaster, he predicted that the world would enter an irreversible high-temperature crisis. He mobilized a research team and developed the initial cooling technology, but the country government wanted complete control of the project. Benjamin took the core research out of country and came to Huaxia, where he began working with a Chinese scientific team. With help from Huaxia's military scientists, the technology was completed. The angel's heart was finally born. Wang Anzhao understood immediately. So this is the core technology that was stolen from the military. A radio broadcast interrupted them. This is the Huaxia Hope frequency. 1 week remains before the high-temperature disaster returns. All citizens should stockpile supplies as quickly as possible, avoid going outside during the day, and prepare for extreme weather. Television stations had already stopped broadcasting because of the heat. Radio was now humanity's main source of outside information. Someone asked, "Where's Benjamin now?" Mrs. Li lowered her eyes. "He's gone. Mr. Benjamin suffered from an incurable disease. He has already been laid to rest in Huaxia. His final wish was to complete the angel's heart." Li Yu clenched her fist. "Then we still have a week. Let's use it to save everyone." Her father shook his head. "It isn't that simple. The production quantity is not the problem, but even at full capacity, manufacturing enough units will take at least 1 week. The real problem is transportation." The angel's heart contained an ultra-precise thermal structure, a nanomaterial core, and an ultra-low temperature circulation system. It was extremely fragile. If left for too long in an environment above 60 degrees, its internal structure would begin collapsing. Efficiency would fall sharply until the device failed completely. Once the extreme heat returned, aircraft would struggle to fly, power grids would collapse, and logistics would stop. Transporting the angel's heart across the country, let alone the entire world, would become almost impossible. Alyssa looked at Chinchao. "It isn't completely impossible. Chinchao, your ability can break this deadlock. Your storage space isn't affected by high temperatures, and you can move instantaneously. You are the only suitable person to transport the angel's heart." Everyone looked toward Chinchao. Alyssa continued, "If the entire world needs the angel's heart delivered, you may be the only person capable of doing it. That is also why the Huaxia military needs your help." Chinchao stared at his hands. At military headquarters, Captain Wu reported the survival of the Li couple. "The authorities have already placed the matter at the highest priority, so the angel's heart has finally been completed. Activate the nation's highest level production plan immediately." However, Chinchao made his position clear. "The Li couple will not leave this place." Captain Wu frowned. "What do you mean? They're safer here than with the military. Who knows how many foreign agents are still hidden inside your organization?" Captain Wu fell silent. Alyssa added, "The young master's infiltration goes deeper than any of you imagine. If the Li couple re-enter the official system, they may disappear again." Captain Wu finally nodded. "Understood. I'll apply for a special protection arrangement." Mr. Li then explained the difference between their work and the official version. "The technology previously held by the authorities was only the original model. We perfected the core structure and greatly reduced both production cost and material consumption. What truly limits us now is no longer technology. It's time." Factories restarted across the country. Production lines resumed operation, and military industrial plants began running at full capacity. Manufacturing was Huaxia's greatest strength. With its complete industrial system and production speed, the country could manufacture enough angel's hearts to cover the nation within 1 week. Only distribution remained unresolved. Captain Wu looked at Chinchao through the video call. "So the only remaining issue is delivery?" Chinchao lowered his eyes. Originally, he only wanted to protect the people around him, but if the nation collapsed first, everyone else would eventually follow. With nothing left outside the fortress, protecting only himself would become meaningless. "I can transport the angel's hearts for you." Captain Wu finally relaxed. "But I have a condition. Within this week, I want you to help me eliminate the young master." Captain Wu's expression changed. "The leader of that mysterious organization, the man who abducted the Li couple. If he doesn't die, everything will spiral out of control." Alyssa agreed. "He's right. The young master is more dangerous than anyone else." At that moment, the young master sat alone at a dining table. He slowly cut into the meat before him and brought it to his mouth. After finishing, he placed the fork down. "Finally, I've recovered." His damaged face gradually returned to normal. "Ever since he died, I should have been able to replace him completely. But this damned body, it can only maintain its sanity by consuming its own kind." The young master wiped the blood from his lips. "But forget it, Benjamin. I was destined never to become you. Then I'll become myself."